Ears to the East welcomes you to another one of our fantastic chats where I replaced Benedict with Neon.
Yes,
He's
you've
back!
upgraded.
Oh my God. I wonder what next week's conversation is going to be like. Wait, there's a chance next week it might be you and Benedict without me. So I
We've
dare think that we
upgraded
can
even
do.
more.
It's like, what are you going to say to Benedict? It's like, oh, we've upgraded with the person who I was upgraded from. So, you've built your own hierarchy. Neon, Benedict, me. Um,
Um,
Anyway, yeah, no, we're here for another one of these little waffle alongs, and actually, I will say first of all, I'm really glad that so many people have been enjoying the new format. We had some people who weren't sure about it at first. There's always a little bit of pushback when you try something new, but it looks like it's been really good for the channel. We've had a lot of new people, a lot more views, a lot more comments, and it just seems that people seem to be really engaged. So, big thank you. If you are new to the channel, just a reminder, we try to every week put out one of the videos like you're watching now, which is just basically our little recorded conversation that is the least we have every week. And then you'll see videos going out throughout the week, which is just where we take individual topics from this video and upload those as like separate videos, just in case you want to watch a single topic thing. So, yeah, big thanks to everyone who's been watching. Apologies if that introduction was super confusing and you're like, what? It is to the what? I didn't even do sound check. How's my sound, Neil? Is my sounding
yeah, you,
good?
you you sound good. You look good as well.
See, now I know you're lying. Right, so let's jump straight in on this one though, because you, dear sir, you well, we've both got gigs to talk about, but you have, I think, the gig that is going to be really. This is an interesting one. I know a lot of people who went to this gig, but you are the person who is here to tell us, with all of your journalistic skills, about your.
Oh,
Why have you
you're
twitched when I
putting the
said that?
pressure on now, aren't you? You're setting me up
So
to fail.
now to our Atarashii Gakko correspondent. You took the trip down from Liverpool to London, go see Atarashii Gakko. It was because I know you got a few gigs. It was just Atarashii Gakko on this trip, right?
Just that's Atarashii Gakko. This one, next week, I'm back home for a couple of days, and then next week I'm off to go and see Rio, Broken by the Scream, and Love Bites, all within like 24 hours. So it's
So that
yeah,
shirt's
looking forward to
prophetic,
that.
really. You're wearing a prophetic shirt rather than a. You should be wearing an Atarashii Gakko shirt right now, but hey, there we go. No one's going to complain. No one's going to complain. All right, dive in. Well, let's start with the journey because obviously a lot of bands do not come to Liverpool because let's face it, they travel around the world. They go, hey, we're in Europe. Hey, we'll hop across that island. Hey, we're not going to hop up north though. So,
You know what?
um,
I've noticed a lot since COVID, really, that we did have like Babymetal Love Bites and stuff in Manchester, quite a bit. So, but I've noticed recently that um a lot of bands or a lot of bands I've been interested in, they go to London, and that seems to be it in the UK at the minute. There seems to be a lot less bands going around the country, going to Glasgow or going to Manchester or the other big cities. It just seems to be one stop London, and then that's it. They're gone. So yeah, that seems to be a more of a recurring theme post
I
COVID than I would like to admit, to be honest. So if I all these bands I want to see, I can't have to go to London to see them.
but by the same token, don't you think there's just more bands coming post-COVID anyway? So it's
Yes,
probably just
yes. So that kind of count. That is like counter active a little bit. Yes, way more bands than pre-COVID. So that is a really good thing. Negative side is they all go to London.
well,
So
I think it does come down to that thing, which is like if you fly all the way around the world and you're going to usually first thing you do is pick a continent.
mm,
Okay, we're going to fly to Europe, they say. So a band flies to Europe and they have to go, all right, where are we going to go in Europe? Obviously, you've got to stop off like Germany, France. Those are the obvious ones. And then obviously you're going to hit the UK as well because it's so historically connected to music. And it's obviously one of the main countries in the European area. I'm careful how I word that because some people would be angry about me insinuating any connection at all. But it is what it is. Continents are geographic things. Anyway, so it's on that same tectonic plate. And they might be going, okay, we're going to go across to London. But I can kind of see that because like you go around most of Europe, like going around most of the US, you go around that landmass. But going to the UK is like, okay, we have to go over the channel. We have to like go through the Channel Tunnel or get a plane or get a ferry or something. And then when they're there, they're probably not going to spend a huge amount of time there by comparison, as it's only one stop at a tour. So I can imagine just going London, it's near to the crossing, and then back. Whereas it's like It's like the Romans. You know, how far are you going to go before you just build Hadrian's Wall and say, look, I don't need to deal with more northern people. There's enough ginger here. I'm going back. I mean, what point is the Hadrian's Wall limit of most bands coming from?
Yeah, no, I get that. I would like to see more bands come up north a little bit, just so so I have to travel like a lot less. But to be fair, I enjoy it. Obviously, I meet loads of mates and stuff and friends down there now. It's kind of become its own little thing where I wouldn't change it for the world. Where it's like a little party, a little event. It makes me feel younger again. I go and get to see my mates. We get to hang out and have a few pints and go and watch awesome bands at the same time as well. Um,
But are you secretly glad that you do get to go home afterwards and that you don't actually live there?
um, Yeah, probably actually. I like London. I don't know whether or not I could live in London. If I'm being honest. It's
I get
nice
that.
for like 1 or 2 days, but anything more than that, and I'm just like, yeah, probably not. So
Yeah, I get that. I get that. So anyway, you went down for Atarashii Gakko. What was the venue? Where were they performing?
but they were at Roundhouse. Roundhouse.
Oh, dude,
Um,
Roundhouse. That's an epic venue. I saw Carrie Pammy there.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible. Sold out, and it showed like top seats, not a single chair free. The crowd was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely packed. It fills me with joy actually, and I said this before with like one of the previous gigs when I saw Hitsuji Bangaku, and I was just really surprised how much they filled up. So like seeing the likes of like Baby Metal now, Hannah Beer, Atarashii Gakko all have like really full venues and stuff. Like it fills me with so much joy because I think that really shows like the popularity of like Japanese music at the minute and how much it's like seeping through and just like
Do
how
you?
much like it's accessible and the world's kind of like really like, oh, we love this. Although I will say
Mm.
Atarashii Gakko were also the most famous band probably we've seen, but also like the most like unknown because we had so many people because the line for the roundhouse was massive, and I think a lot of people were looking at this line going, "We've not seen a line this big in ages." All the locals, and they were all like, so many people were leaning into the line going, "Who's on tonight?" And we're like, Atarashii Gakko," and they're like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, who?"
yeah, I'm not really surprised in all fairness. I mean, I think that's the kind of group where, they're almost like the quintessential definition of if you know, you know.
You know,
If you
you know.
don't know, you're going to look at them and go, what is with these schoolgirls? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
there's you've got to be kind of like mentally prepared before you.
Yeah, so many people were asking who's on tonight, and then every time somebody said that's Atarashii Gakko, the look of just like pure like I
Was
have
there
no
not?
idea who the fuck that is.
Because outside the roundhouse, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, so I actually don't know historically what it is, but the roundhouse is like an old industrial looking building, and it's literally just a round brick
It
building,
used to be
like a
a
cylinder.
yeah,
It
it used to
looks
be
like an
where
industrial
trains.
cylinder.
It used to be where the train tracks were connected, and the trains would pull in,
Ah,
and they used
so
to
that's
turn the
the
trains to put them on another set
oh,
of
well, there you
tracks.
go. That actually
So,
makes perfect sense. Anyone who's watched Thomas the Tank Engine, or no,
mhm. So yeah, that's what
so
it used to
that
be.
and that gives you immediate mental image of what the building looks like. But they have big banners on the outside, and I'm
Mhm.
wondering, was there any big Atarashii Gakko banners on the outside for this gig?
No, surprisingly not. There wasn't. They had one big poster which just had like all the names of all the acts that were going there that month. And
Yes.
Atarashii Gakko's name was on there, but there was no like, as not that there might have been. I just didn't spot any. But as far as I could tell, there was no like posters or anything like that of the girls, unfortunately. So
Yeah. No,
again, I want to
that
reiterate,
would
not from what I saw. So
that would have
that
been
might be a
rather
thing.
it's gonna be loads of people who've uploaded pictures of giant banners now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, there could be loads there. Be like, how was he not spotted that?
we had this with the last gig you went to. There was people who were like, well, actually,
Yeah.
here's to the East remembers. But yeah, the funny thing is that I can imagine if they had gigantic pictures of Atarashii Gakko on the outside, it would probably confuse passers-by even more. They'd have been like, this? Because
But
it's one
yeah,
of those.
the crowd was great though. Like there's so much so many people like I love like the cosplay from like all these groups from seeing the crowd, like when like Hanabiya rolls in or when Babymetal rolls in. But to see like so many people dressed up in like schoolgirl uniforms for the the Atarashii Gakko gig was amazing. There was so many great people, by the way, in great costumes. It was amazing. So, and fair play to the lads as well that were all rocking the t-shirt. So they are braver men than me.
Oh my God. It's starting to sound like quite an image. Well, starting to have a mental image painted by you of what this gig sounded like for sure. But it sounds like a ton of fun. Yeah, it's a great venue. Overall though, I mean, how did you haven't seen them live before, right?
No,
Have you?
so there's a little bit of a story about this one. I like
Okay.
you. I've been reacting to Atarashii Gakko for freaking years now. And we
20,000 years.
a turn it feels like 10,000 years. I started reacting to them, I think, when they were still at like 10,000 subs or something like that. It's crazy to see the rise from them. It's kind of cool. It kind of fills me with joy though to see these bands kind of do this. Like I love picking up like these small bands sometimes that don't get many views when you react to them, and then like 2 years later they're this worldwide phenomenon,
Old Papa
which is
Neon.
kind of yeah, which is kind of crazy. Um, but yeah, it was amazing to kind of just see them because I've been meaning to see them for a couple of times. And I've been really unlucky because they've every time they've been in the UK, I think the last time they were in the UK, because I think this is the second time they played. I think they were playing when Babymetal were playing. It was either Babymetal or Love Bites. I can't quite remember which one it was.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember
and I
this.
and I had a choice, and I was like, oh. And it was the first time. I think it was the first time I ever saw Babymetal, or the first time I ever saw Love Bites. So there was a choice between them and Atarashii Gakko, and I picked the other band. Although to be fair, I don't
Do you
regret.
know what's amazing is that you picked the other band, and so much so do you love the other band that you can't remember what band it was.
It was. I just remember. No, I can't remember which exact gig it was, but I just remember that I had the choice for Atarashii Gakko, and I was humming and hawing over that gig or that gig for ages. But I did pick the other band, which I don't regret. It was either the Babymetal Sabaton gig when they opened for Sabaton, or it was the Love Bites New Crossing gig, which I do not regret going to. By the way, like that experience,
That was a story. Yeah.
that
Anyone
was
who
a
wants to know that,
story.
there's a
Yeah.
video about that on this channel as well. Just go onto the
Mm.
videos page and click most popular. That's it's that
Yeah, so
one. But
like I don't think I'll ever experience anything quite like that again. That we that was very special. So I don't regret it at all. But it's been just one of those things where they've been on my watch list for ages now, and I've just been like, oh come on, I really want to see them, really want to see them, really want to see them. So when I
so
had the opportunity now with no other distractions, I was like, yes, let's go, doing it.
how did they compare to expectations then? I mean, because obviously you've heard them for so long, you got like a
Hmm.
mental image of what to expect. How was the reality?
The reality actually was like way better than I expected. I mean, me and you have spoken about this a lot on this channel, where like some bands are they kind of show their class either on a studio recording or when you see them live, you get like a different opinion of them. Atarashii Gakko for me is a live band. They are just so
Really?
fun,
Yeah.
charismatic. The crowd is pumping. I did just drop. I'm gonna say shamelessly self plug now, but I did just drop my vlog for them, and some of the shots that I've got where the girls are all pumping hand, and there's just a sea of hands in the air, all doing it, and it's just like there's not one person in that crowd I could pick out that just wasn't doing it. Like it was a beautiful,
Did
beautiful
you want
shot.
to use the word exclusive? You can use the word exclusive if you'd like.
Exclusive,
He has exclusive footage from Atarashii
exclusive
Gakko.
footage. Um, but yeah, like
How, how did you feel that their character conveyed life? You said they were a lot of fun, but obviously a lot of what they do is playing very much to the camera when you see them online.
mm,
But in person, obviously, even in a venue like Roundhouse, it's big enough that a lot of the time they're quite far away, they're quite distant from you. I don't know if they use video screens or stuff to sort of like pump up their image, but how
they
do you think they
did.
came across that way?
So yeah, no, the that was the thing probably surprised me enough. There is a few bands I think that when they perform on stage, it's very I don't want to use the term scripted, but there's definitely a formula that they follow. And I think if you know
Yeah,
a band enough, you can kind of tell what they're about to do or what they're going to do before they do it.
yeah.
And AG felt like one of those bands where it could have been planned, it could be formulaic, but it did not feel like that. It felt like it was crazy, off the hook, a little bit predictable. I know that there's moments there that were planned. For example, Suzuka crowd surfing and getting the crowd right and falling on the floor in the crowd and stuff like that. I know that there's moments like that that they do in other shows, but on the stage, just the chaotic nature of their dancing and the way that they're doing it and the way that they interacted with the crowd, it felt really genuine. So if it was again, I don't want to use the word scripted, but I can't think of an alternative word for now. Um,
No, I think that's a fair word. I mean, any negative connotations
mm,
yeah, on the side of the listener. I mean, scripting things is not always a bad thing.
yeah. So it definitely came across like I couldn't tell to be fair. It definitely felt like there was a mixture of they knew what they were doing, but at the same time, it felt organic. The backwards and forwards of the crowd was great. And I think major props to that goes to Suzuka, by the way. I honest to God, the way that she carries a crowd in her hand is kind of crazy. There's a different way, a different aspect in her approach. Like if we're doing like a Babymetal where you've got Sue who's like really stoic and kind of demands attention on her. But she plays the part of Sue Mel. Like if you go into like a Hanabiya with Yukina, it's chaotic. It's you ready? It's like yeah, it's pumped up, sort of like adrenaline and aggression a little bit, and just frantic. Woo! With Suzuka, it was weirdly charming, wacky, if that makes sense. She has the persona of a person. I don't know if you've ever come across this in life, but when a person is just in a room and just everybody's attention sort of like naturally gravitates towards them. Like if you're on a train and you hear somebody telling the story 2 seats down, but you can't help but not like listen in because the story is so engaging.
She's
She's
if I may say a word that is clearly not designed for someone of my age, she has Riz.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. She's cheesy, charismatic, but she has such an aura to her. And she played the crowd like a damn fiddle, man. It was a beautiful backwards and forwards between her. She's so charismatic. I was really impressed with her. I was impressed with all the girls as well that they managed to speak English and that you can really tell that they've really tried. I know that they've done a lot of American shows recently, so their language barrier is probably decreasing each and every time.
I thought you
Um,
were going to say their English is getting worse. They spent too long in
no, it was
America.
it was it was really, the only person who seemed to struggle with the English, I think, was Miju, out of the four of them. But she even had a moment where she said, "My English is not good," and everybody was just laughing. So it was all good humored and done really well. And but I was really surprised with the girls as well. They all of them gave their own sort of like personalities, but yeah, no, Suzuka was she was head and above the rest for me. She was so great to watch. It
Well, I
was
think that's in a way that's why she's always kind of been the central figure of the group. I kind of feel like she
mm,
is the face of the group, and that's no disrespect to any of the others. I mean, there's a lot of talent on hand there, but I just feel like whether it's the way it was set up or just the way she is, she does always seems to have been commanding center stage.
Yeah, that was another point I want to touch on as well. Like with what I really enjoyed about this gig is, as you just pointed out, then Suzuka always seems to be like the natural sort of leader of the group, whether or not it's never said, but it's kind of always insinuated with
New
the way
school
she's got
leaders
it.
leader. Yeah.
Yeah, the natural leader that everybody kind of goes to. But there was a moment in this gig where all the other girls got a song to themselves. They got their own moments to shine, the vocals, the attention on them, and the other three had a bit of a backseat. Now, again, this is the first time I've ever seen them, so I didn't know the occasion or whatever of that, the symbolism of it, because I just thought that it was a natural thing that they would probably do in every gig. I found out later that that was the first time they've ever done.
Oh, okay. I was going to say it's just
um,
the others go out back for fag break. Sorry, I'm.
yeah, so like I was like, I spoke to a couple of my subscribers when I was doing an interview for the vlog, and they were like, yeah, they've never done that before, and I've seen them like he was like, I've seen them like 7 times, and that was really shocking to see that. So I kind of like unknowingly witnessed something a little bit special there. So and I was kind of like, oh, okay. I wish I'd saw them in the past, so that moment maybe could have landed a little bit better with me at the time because I didn't really appreciate it. I just thought, oh, this is like, but each girl gets their own moment. It wasn't until after the gig where they were like, "Oh my God, each girl got their moment," and I'm like, "Is that important?" Like, they were like, "Yeah, they haven't done that before." I was like, "Oh, oh," I was like, I had no idea.
I love that. I love that just pure nonchalance. Well, that was a good show. It's like, well, they all got their own moment. Well, of course they did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Why,
was like,
sorry,
it's
why
like,
is it
right,
in everyone of my stories now, someone's just puffing? I
but
don't
someone's
know.
just popping. That's all we do now. Yeah,
I'm glad we're not
it's very
monetized or we'll
good.
be
Yes.
getting banned. Yeah. So I'm
Um,
still recovering, so I'm trying not to cough people, but I am going to occasionally cough just.
do
See, he's
it.
doing it as well now.
Um, yes.
It's not that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there was amazing moments like that that obviously, like, I probably quite didn't appreciate as much, with it being my first time. But yeah, really
But you will
impressionable girls.
remember them for a lifetime.
I will remember them forever.
These
Um,
stories you will remember for a lifetime.
it was great. It was a really fun gig. I really appreciated it. The only downside to the whole fucking gig is, but I was seated for this one, which when going into this gig, I was kind of happy with because I was kind of like, oh, I can appreciate the choreography here because I know that they do a lot of dancing. I can see the whole show. But I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the crowd and just like how much interaction and just like how much he was playing, I was looking at that envious. I was like, oh man, I wish I was in there.
Oh,
um,
okay. So you mean there was a standing area, but you were in the seated part.
yeah, I was in the
Go,
seated bit.
I see. I was
But
about to say because
where
I was trying to imagine seats in the roundhouse, but they would have all been in the balcony, right? Because I
yeah, it
think
was a balcony. There's a
the,
balcony on the
the
top
the
floor.
bottom
Yeah,
area is all open, if I
is
remember
all
correctly.
open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when we got the seats, I was like, oh, seated, because then I can appreciate obviously the whole choreography because I know they dance a lot and taking the whole scenery. But yeah, there was a part of me I was like, oh, I wish I was standing in that crowd because it just looked amazing from where I was stood. Like everybody just popping off. There was like a rave in the middle of the concert, like when they did the dance bit. Oh, it was so good. So like, you go from like cheesy Japanese music, like like Pineapple Kryptonite and stuff like that, and then like there's just like a fucking rave in the middle.
Forgot
I'm like,
about that
we're all,
song. Oh
we're
my
all
God.
just like that. It was so good.
What was the
Um,
set list like though? Is it, I mean, from what you know, is it mostly more recent songs or did they play a real range? Because they obviously
um,
their discography goes back a long way.
it does go back a long time. So we obviously had the classics like Osatana Blue, like probably some of the more recent ones like again Pineapple Kryptonite, Tokyo Calling, and stuff like that.
Ah,
But there was a lot of new songs on the set list tonight. Because the new album's due out in like I think
oh,
the next day or two at the time of recording
oh,
this. So it's probably by the
okay.
time they're watching this, it's probably already out. Um, so like there was a lot of new songs. So there was one or two songs I can't remember the name, so I apologize that they revealed at that concert that got played. So yeah, it definitely felt like a more of an attempt to play more recent songs and kind of like push new songs out for the new album. So
So I guess the big question is that like based on that, well, two questions really. One, has it made you more of an Atarashii Gakko fan? And two, do you think based on this that you would go to see them again, given, like it's a bit of a journey and they're probably not going to come to your doorstep?
um I'll answer the first one. Did seem to make me more of an Atarashii Gakko fan? The answer to that would be a resounding yes. I can't understate how much I enjoyed the gig. Um, I don't know. Maybe part of me maybe came into this one with slightly more realistic expectations. Because I will be the first to admit, as much as I like Atarashii Gakko, there's a lot of their discography which is very hit and miss for me. There are
Yeah.
songs I freaking love that are brilliant. There's also other songs that they do where I'm like, Eh.
I think a lot of Atarashii Gakko fans would agree with that as well. I mean, from my experience, a lot of them do seem to agree that it's a hit and miss discography.
So from that being my own personal opinion, I was kind of like, okay, so there's a lot of this I'm gonna like, but maybe there's gonna be like a few things I might not like. The
Hmm.
gig itself, I enjoyed it from minute one till the minute they left on the stage. It was so good. So from that point of view, it blew my expectations sort of out the water. I was so happy, and I came out of the gig like I really enjoyed that. And my first thought is, leading on to your second question, I really want to see them again because
That's
the
good.
impact
That's really
definitely
good.
hit me where it was. I was like, oh, that is so good. Now, maybe I might give them a few years until I see them again until they have more material because I think if I saw them again, I don't know, next month, maybe with the same set and the same songs, it might not have the impact I would probably
I
desire.
will say, I think you and I are both very pragmatic about this, and I think it's something that maybe some fans of groups don't like people saying. But I think it is true that if you see a band live and you see a really good show, you depending on what your connection is with the band, if you really like them, but there's no other reason for you to go repeatedly, it's okay to give it a year or two till they got some more music because like going and seeing the same show performed, so even if it's a little bit different between gigs, I think some people are like, well, you've got to go to the next one this next month. And you're like, I enjoyed this. This was fine. It's like, yeah, but then again, I'm the sort of like some people they go to the cinema, they see a movie they really like, and so oh, I'm gonna go watch that next week. I'm like, why? You
But
already
you already
watched
saw
it.
it. Yeah, no, I get that. So I think if I was to see them again, it would probably I'd give it another few more years until like again maybe the
More
album is just
material.
dropping.
Yeah.
There's maybe another album in between, so I know that they've got new music that I can go and enjoy the
Yeah.
gig. But
By the way,
I
I
went
just want to
in.
quickly say, I'm not saying don't repeat see bands. I'm just saying as a general, you don't have to repeat see every band you like. But anyway, so,
I mean, there's people out there, and I got this probably half the audience we're talking to, but I know a lot of people that go and follow like a band on tour, and they go and see this, the same band every night across the countries and stuff like that. I personally, I have never quite seen the pull of that, because like I can see one or
I'm
two shows,
just gonna turn around and block a few things here. You carry on.
yeah, because I can see
Oh man.
the band maybe twice, and I for me personally, I feel like I'm good. I know that there's people that hear that in my Discord, my community, that go and see like the same band 10 times in a row, and I'm just like at that point, I'm kind of looking at them like, but is the other eight performances really different from the
I
two that
I
you saw?
I I will say, because I think that the question is how much does it scale? Because for me, I would
Mm.
say, obviously in my case, I've been going to regularly support a very small band who I've been supporting since their first gig. Their tickets are like fractions compared to like bigger bands like your Bandmates and your
Yeah, but
Hanabiers and your
that's you
Babymetals.
supporting them
But
though, and like
that's the difference.
integrating. That's a different thing. It's a
I
different
think
reason to go.
I think there are some people who are, and frankly, there's only one word for it, rich enough that they can scale that to something like Bandmade. If you can scale that to the amount of extra travel, the much higher merch and ticket prices, and you want to do it, well, I'm
That's
actually not.
that's a good
I'm
point.
actually, yeah. I mean,
Like
that's
if I
yeah.
was in a
You do what you
position
want
to
to do.
do it, maybe that's what it is. Maybe because like me and you have never been like probably the richest sons of a guns in the world.
You
YouTube,
think?
yeah, you think YouTube money algorithms not coming in for either of us right now.
Oh, come on. We all
Um,
know that YouTubers are all balling. We got Lamborghinis outside and
yeah, oh
everything.
yeah, man. I'm running out of space to park in the second Ferrari in my garage. Jesus. But
Buy
like, yeah,
another house.
I know, right? Jesus Christ. I'm saving for a mansion, not another house, man. What are you on
Right,
about?
right, right. Listen, car
So,
park, I just park it in the grounds.
I know, yeah, I know, right? So soon I'll have enough money to not even buy a car. It's gonna be a hover car, man. You know what I'm about. Gotta go to the
my
future.
sh my chauffeur-driven plane, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm already talking to my agents, and we're gonna rival Mr. Beast for we're gonna call it neon chocolate. So it's gonna explode with neon colors in your mouth.
I don't know why, but that just sounded horribly like some sort of medical problem that you might have. I was
Yeah. It's gonna be every slab of chocolate is gonna be brightly colored in different colors. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
Oh man, I
Yeah,
adore
yeah, yeah.
the
And then that's
horrifying
the
picture.
neon part, and then the Reaper part. It's gonna have like a label with a Reaper on it, going "May cause death," like eat at your own risk.
So potentially lethal and doesn't look at all like edible food. This is your millionaire plan. I
Yeah.
respect it at very least. But yeah, I mean, like the thing is that I mean, ultimately, you scale what you have to do to how much money you have. And
Yeah.
if someone said, look, I'm a I'm a Fortune 500 banker or something, and I make a shitload of money. It's like, but I didn't decide to buy like a twatty top end Maybach. Instead, I go to gigs and buy merchandise. I'd be like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what it comes down to. If you've got the money, like, yeah, like maybe rescinding what I said before, like if I had the money to do
Yeah,
that, like a
yeah.
bit more, I probably would, to be
I
fair.
think we're accepting most people aren't actually in that situation. We're just
Yeah,
kind of
probably.
we're saying there might be some people who are genuinely doing that for a
Well, you
reason, but
well at the same time, you can't take your money with you when you're dead, can you? So if people find happiness in following bands and stuff like that, then they fucking do it. And then, like I said, if
we
I had that much money, I probably would as well.
but you know, it goes the other end of the scale is the thing that I've kind of I've done little videos about this as well, self-promotion. I've done little videos about this as well, where I've kind of said that the one thing I always want to push is the idea that in any fan community, you'll have one person who will maybe be there and they've never seen their favorite band live. And so everyone just kind of assumes, oh, they're a casual fan. That might be the biggest fan that band has ever had. You don't, they might live in a country where no bands ever go, like live in Ecuador or something.
Mm,
They might be someone who they don't have much income. Maybe they're looking after an elderly or sick relative, so they can't travel even if they wanted to. They can't work because they've got that. They could be disabled, but they could be the person who sits there like downloading and listening to the songs every single night. They can't afford the CDs, but they like they get on the streaming services and they're always there to sort of like support the band online whenever there's like little votes and competitions and things. They could be the biggest fan of all. So as much as I would say we kind of say like when it comes to those people who like got the money to go to every single bandmate gig or something, we kind of say
we're not
like,
totally jealous.
well, yeah, I mean, obviously there's a little bit. It would be great if anyone
No,
for anyone to do that, but I mean, there's a part of you where you're like, okay, maybe why would you do that? But by the same token, hey, if you're just supporting, then I totally get it. By the same token, I do think that there's reasonable people on that end of the scale, and there's also reasonable people on the end of the scale who might be even bigger fans than that person, but have literally never seen their favorite band live. So I always kind of say to people is like when you've come across a fan, it's absolutely fine to have opinions. It's fine to make judgments. We're humans, we make judgments, but don't fully judge a person's fandom because you never know who they really are, why they love that band, and how much they love that band. And I'll tell you what, how much merch you buy or how many tickets you bought will never be the full story.
I know. So why don't you tell me about your experience? Because I can see that you are also wearing a top of a
I
van.
I didn't want to make it too obvious where I've been. It's not like I was working too hard to like advertise. Yeah, no. Well, yeah, Caramel Candid. They came to Korea, their first ever overseas gig. Obviously, I'm in Korea right now, for anyone who doesn't know that. Um, due to visa reasons, I'm waiting for my new visa to come through so I can go back to Japan. But I've been in Korea for a few months, and yeah, they came out to Korea, and it was yeah. I mean, Caramel Candid coming to Korea to play their first ever overseas show was just frankly one of those things where I was so excited to be there for it because as mentioned, I mean, the irony is after everything that we just said yeah, a second ago, I had I went to their first ever show back in July 2023, and I'd just been supported them. I became friends with them, and it just turned out by kind of a run. It became a running joke that just by accident I had actually been to every single one of their shows. Just every single time they had a gig, I was like, I'm going to come along and support you. And then we realized at some point after I think it was about half a year, they were like, "You've been to every one of our shows." And this became a running thing then that I would just be with them at every single gig right up until the visa thing happened and I had to like get out and apply for a new visa. Um, and of course that was really heartbreaking. Like after 2.5 years of being beside them at every single gig, and which not 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 to over amplify anything, but they obviously expressed a lot of appreciation for that as well and kind of that moral support. It was really weird to them not be there and be watching them do all this stuff online and like all the successes that they had. And I was like, it hurts and like not be there and kind of miss that part of the journey. But
Yeah.
then obviously they said that they were coming to Korea, and I was planning to be in Taiwan at the time, and I was like, okay, I am going to go back to Korea, so I had to move all of my schedule for like a series of months and get myself back in time. So I came back to Korea. And yeah, so last weekend they had the show. We had some fans who wanted to come over from Japan. I'm not going to go into it too much, but there was a lot of problem with the ticketing website. And in the end, of all the fans who wanted to come over, only one of them could successfully come over. So I had this one fan coming over from Japan who I knew, I'd seen him in previous shows, so I was helping him sort of like get through his journey over here. Sorted him out with the hotel he needed to go stay at and all these things. All of this
Oh,
happened, all of this big build up. And then finally we get to the show. And yeah, I mean, first things first, they had the merch. The merch was absolutely brilliant. I really love this new shirt design.
yeah, no,
Um,
I really like that as well. It's actually amazing. Is
for
there anything on the back? Is it just the front?
It's just I think it's just the front this one.
Yeah.
But the yeah, some of the other ones have got like backs. But this one, so for anyone who doesn't know, the bassist Mabo, she's actually a very talented artist. And she does a lot, not all, but almost all of their sort of artistic stuff. Yeah, they do
Mm.
also work with other people. But she designed this t-shirt as well as the band logo. And what I really like about this, I'm going to be honest with you, is you see so many of those band shirts where they have like this kind of crazy writing. And the frustrating thing is you look at it and you're like, okay, it looks artistic, but what the fuck does it say? Whereas with this shirt, you look at it and it's really crazy writing, but it's really easy to read. It's like super legible. And
Mm.
for me, I really like that aspect, the artwork, really cool. So we had all this kind of stuff. I met a lot of Korean fans there. I interviewed some of them who will be putting them up in a video coming out. Not quite yet. I'm doing like a fairly big Caramel Candid 3 year celebration video for their third anniversary.
Nice.
Um, and so we had all of these things going on, and honestly, like it was like a really nice, warm atmosphere with all the people there. But it turns out that me and the guy from Japan were the only non-Korean people there, so it was just loads of Korean people.
Mm.
And that in a way was kind of cool because so Korea is really into Instagram, and Caramel Candid had one song go viral on Instagram, which was Caramel Girls, for anyone who doesn't know. And the reason why they went viral is because someone translated the lyrics into Korean and wrote them on screen on like a Instagram short.
Mm.
And people went absolutely nuts when they read what she was talking about in that song. And yeah, that absolutely exploded. So it was just really cool to see people. We had some people, there was like at least a couple of women who came in like maid outfits who were there
Yeah.
to see them like
Oh,
dressed in the maid
nice.
outfits and everything, which was so cool. Um, they had their new outfits and everything that they had all designed, and so we went in. The show was they did an hour on stage. They had a artist who went on first of all, who went by the name of Ruru, who she's a Korean artist. She's very good, very good. Definitely kind of fits into kind of like the Korean indie sound. A lot of that kind of like real atmosphere, chill out kind of music, but with a bit of a heavy beat kind of thing. But then when Caramel Candy came out, they did an hour on stage, and it was just like the energy was great. You could tell they were having fun. The audience, um, it was interesting because again, you're wondering, is this going to be one of those audiences where they've come out of curiosity, or are they really going to act like fans? And I would say the majority of people there really felt like they had like this fan atmosphere to them. But here's the thing, here's how I fit into this, and this is where this gets a little bit maybe obscure. So the tickets went on sale back in April, and because I was buying tickets for both myself and this other fan, unfortunately there was a limit of 2 tickets per person, which is why I couldn't help any of the other people who were unable to get their tickets, which caused all of this furore. But I bought our tickets. So it was like on April the something, they went live at 6 p.m. And I had gone through checkout and bought our tickets by 6:04. So
Yeah.
it took me 4 minutes to complete checkout. And we had ticket number 149 and 150. Right.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure 150 people didn't buy their tickets in the first 3 minutes. Anyway, for reasons which we're still investigating, for some reason we were bumped to the back of the queue. We suspect it's because we were the only people to use the overseas link, and all
Yeah.
the overseas people went to the back. Which,
Oh,
given there was only two overseas people, and one of them, the guy with me, had paid a huge amount of money to be there, that was
Mm.
pretty galling. We were like the first ones to go through checkout and the last ones in the line. Not the band's fault, something to do with the organizers.
Yeah.
But yeah, the net result was that we kind of went in at the back. Now, bless him, the guy who I was with, he wasn't really up for pushing to the front. But I was like saying, it's like, look, I know my place. I know my job. My job is I have to get in the crowd and I have to make people jump. I know which songs we jump to. I know where we jump to them. I know exactly what we need to do in this show. I have been watching their short videos since I was not in Japan, and the amount of jumping has decreased, and I'm unhappy about this. So I've been telling these people I need to see more leg injuries. But yeah, I was like, no, I really want to sort of pump up the energy, get everyone really energized. So yeah, I had to work my way through towards the front during the first artist. I was like carefully making spaces and sliding through spaces like this.
Sneaky bugger.
I managed to get to roughly the middle. I didn't want to push it all the way to the front because I was like, yeah, I got limits on how,
Yeah. I saw the picture where the band took the picture at the end, and you were like fourth row. You got pretty close to the front.
yeah. I mean, it was the venue had like I say, we were the last ones in and we had ticket number 150. So there was about 150 people there. The venue itself has a capacity of about 400. So realistically, when you consider that people obviously use the space a little bit, they don't just all cram to the front.
Yeah.
It felt about half full, but it was a big venue.
Yeah.
And so I think they definitely made profit on that, I'd say. Um, and the merch sales were brilliant. People were just buying the merch, and no surprises, it's damn good. But yeah, I got to about the middle of this large crowd, and yeah, I just started. I was like, well, look, I don't know how malleable are these people going to be to me, like picking them up and jump, yeah, sort of moving people, because it tends to be the thing you do. Just go up to someone, grab them by the shoulders, and start jumping with.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, they were absolutely brilliant. Like the people I met there was such a ton of fun. There was a couple who I'd interviewed outside, and they just started bouncing along. One of the guys, he was a youngster who he was in college or something, and he was there, and I'd spoken to him outside, and he came in. He was so excited that he was bouncing up and down to the point where, like halfway through, he had to lean over and lean on my shoulder, like I need to catch breath. And it's like that's good, that's good, that's good. More, more. But it's
Like it
like
was like me when we met with the first Eminem gig, and I hadn't quite acclimatized to the heat yet. I was like, "Fuck
yeah.
yeah."
Oh, but yeah, the atmosphere was lovely. Everyone was having so much fun. You had people in their maid outfits, all of that, and it was really great fun. But the most important thing for me is like looking at the band on stage. They've come so far, but like their act now is solid. It's not a single missed beat. There's not anything other than absolute just spot on perfection all the way through. They know their songs. They did play a brand new song. They played the song that came out since I've been away, which is like, oh, it's my first time. So this is the first time ever that everyone's seen a song before me. It's like, oh God.
Oh,
um, it's good.
I just
Actually
want to
in that,
reach out and give you a hug.
yeah. Well, the funny thing is, in that room, because all the Korean guests there had never seen them live before. Actually, the only person who'd seen that song live before was my friend who I brought along. So
Yeah.
really, what I should have done is I should have abandoned him so that it didn't. But yeah, no, the place just everyone had a load of fun. The new song was really kind of like a good crowd song as well. Everyone was just enjoying it, and there was this overall vibe, this overall feeling that everyone was just kind of, I would say, just engaged. Engaged with it all, having fun, and this is another power of the fact that so many of their songs are so different. Their songs have all got a different vibe, all got a different feeling. You have your ballads, you have your full-on rock songs. You can go crazy during a song like Virus Buster because the next song's probably going to be something like Talking M Pit 2, and you're going to get to just have a little bit of everyone sways for a little bit, and then you have a crazy song. Um, yeah, so the vibe was brilliant, and I think basically not only was this their first overseas show, but I think it just kind of reinforces the idea that they've become a fully fledged. Well, they were always fully fledged, but they become a band now where doing things like one man shows, doing things where just turning up and just, yeah, we're ready for any stage. I think that's
Yeah.
their thing. And that'll bring me on to my next point in a moment. Um, well, okay, I'll dive into the next point then in
Oh,
that case.
I was going to say, I thought you were continuing it. I wasn't expecting the pause. Before you go into your next point, what was it like the sort of, what was like the subtle differences between seeing them in a Japanese setting and seeing them in a Korean setting? It's like, does the crowd interact a little bit differently? I know that when me and you seen them, obviously there's like with the Japanese, I know there's a little bit of respect. I know there's a little bit of a way to behave,
Yeah.
in a live house. Was that a different kind of like scenario when you were like in Korea? Do they still adhere to the same rules a little bit, or was it a little bit more rough and tumble, a little bit more
You
electric?
did just remind me of something I've forgotten. Yeah. So, when it came to the crowd, I would say actually I was kind of in a way I wasn't sure what to expect because obviously the band brings in a very large female audience as well.
Mm.
But I was kind of thinking to myself, I don't know, I just kind of assumed that maybe this might be a little bit more of a I don't know, maybe is it going to be a bit more of an energized audience, because like in Japan, you kind of know people are having fun, but they don't have to move. You have audiences
Yeah,
where sometimes people are pretty passive and just nodding, but you know everyone's having a great time because it's just, I don't know, people don't always have to like go all out. But with this audience, the funny thing is, I don't really know, and this is going to sound super arrogant. I don't know how much of the eventual energy I might have had a hand in. Because
mm.
certainly when when it started, everyone was just kind of having fun. But it was like me like prepping people like, oh, we're gonna jump now, everyone's gonna jump now. I was like getting people to jump and like I noticed that during the warm-up artists, no one did like the fist pump thing, which is obviously
Yeah.
so iconic in Japan. He's like, even any artist, if you start to get a vibe, you fist pump. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do that. And so I started fist pumping, and then later on, I turned around and like more people were fist pumping as well. I honestly don't know whether that was happening naturally or whether I was having any involvement in that. I will say the couple of gigs I've been to in Korea so far, as a general, audiences tend to sort of jump around a bit, but I never got any sign that maybe they were doing that. So maybe not. But I tell you what, the energy started off slow, but people really picked up, and by the end, it was great. The best thing about getting the energy going, though, at the beginning of the gig, so many camera phones. So many, and I'd forgotten what that was like, man. I've been in
Yeah.
Japan long and I've forgotten what it's like when you're like watching a gig and someone's phone camera screens in front of your face. You're like, oh, you're not going to watch it back later. You're not going to watch it back later. You're watching it now. Just watch it with your eyes. It's like, so that it
I
was like
can't
this.
say shit being a YouTuber who records half the
I
content I
don't
go
know,
to.
man. But there's like people in there like videoing whole songs. Anyway, look, we've done videos about this
Yeah,
before.
that's the one
But the
thing I
thing,
don't do. I always put my phone out sometimes, obviously, because it's like part of my job, part of what we do. But I never record a whole song. It's always like I try to get it out for like 30-second
yeah.
bursts.
Well, I mean, the thing is that like I think, I mean, even after a while, I kind of got to the point where I was like, I'm not going to film anything, but I thought what I'll do is like at the very end when they're doing their goodbye thing, I'll just get out the camera for that. And even then,
Yeah.
I kind of did the Japanese thing where if you must do it, you hold it in front of your face. So because it's not, if it doesn't extend your silhouette in any direction,
Yeah.
then it's not blocking anyone any more than you were already. So it was it's kind of funny to do that, but. Yeah, so the phone camera thing was annoying, but like I say, once people started moving, more people put away their phone cameras because you're not going to want your phone camera out when everyone's jumping around
Yeah.
you. So it was that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. And I will say as well that I did notice that obviously people in Korea are just that little bit taller. And by the time I got to the middle of the crowd, I was like moving with a couple of people who I was moving with me, like, all right, let's
Mm.
go to the center. So I got one guy following me from the left, and I got another guy who I'm bringing towards me from the right. And we get into the center, and just as we get into the center, I look up and I am behind the tallest guy in Korea. And it's like, and he's just standing in front of me. I'm like, guy's
I
got a
must
big
admit,
head.
that's one of the things I love about Japan because me and you are roughly about the same height. I think you're a little bit taller than I am, but I like when I was in the live houses, that's the best fucking thing ever. I was kind of like,
I'm not 100% sure we are roughly the same.
pardon?
I think
No,
someone
there's
would
not
put,
that much of a height difference between us. I don't think so anyway.
well, you bring that step later for then.
So,
No, you're right though. I mean, it's like we were both we were both kind of in a situation where we didn't have to really think about that at all. But the funny thing is, I saw this guy's head, and I just turned the guy next to me. I was like, he laughed. He was like, "I'm gonna have to jump really high now." He's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hopefully he doesn't jump." As well. So we were like pogoing to get a view over him. But no, the whole gig, the whole experience was absolutely it was so reassuring because again, it just kind of shows that they've hit that level.
Yeah. I'm um I'm really excited to see them again. After a year, it's gonna be cool. I'm really kind of excited to see sort of like how they've kind of like developed and stuff like that.
You could be seeing them
And
at Flowers Loft. You could be seeing them at a really cool little venue that
mm,
I have had the pleasure of getting shit faced with the owner.
oh,
So it's
nice. So yeah, I'm really excited to see sort of like how they've kind of like developed and stuff like that as well. I feel like they're like way more
sorry, I should just
secure
say
as well.
I don't know if it's the owner or the manager. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, yeah.
He's reminiscing now. He's like,
Should probably clarify. It might not have been the owner, it might have been the manager. Anyway, carry on.
but yeah, I'm really excited to see how they've come a long way now. Because like even from a year ago, they've so many more music videos. Like they've come a long way since then. So I'm excited to see kind of where they how they've kind of progressed. I think, which
Yeah.
is not always the case. That's a good thing. I mean, we're going back to our point of like give it a few years when you see big artists. I don't think it's quite the same with smaller artists because they develop so much more quickly. Obviously, always improving, always trying to find their sound, their groove, their their own aura a little bit. So I think like with smaller acts, especially in like the indie scene or the live house scene in Japan, you could probably see the same band quite often because I feel like their sets would change quite drastically from show to show, for better or for worse. Sometimes I think sometimes they'll have a really good show, sometimes they might not have a particularly good one. But that's kind of the learning curve, I think.
I think this might be the point where I want to throw in like the big piece of news. Um, so
Ooh,
this
news
this
exclusive.
well this is something where the funny thing is that I'm going to cut this and put this as a separate video. But if you're watching this right now as part of the full length stream, the end of week stream, it's probably already too late to do something about this. But I'm going to record it anyway. So just look back and you might already know the results of this. And if you do already know the results, then yeah. Anyway, so look, here's what I need to say for people in time. Big news. Anyway, right. So what it is that Caramel Candid have the opportunity to play at Zepp Yokohama in front of 2,100 plus people with Silent Siren.
Ooh, nice.
All they have to do is win a popularity vote. Basically, you go on the webpage, you click on it, and yeah, there's a selection of bands. Click on Caramel Candid, and then it will ask you to log into the page. But all you have to do is just you either like just use your Twitter account or something. It's
Yeah.
very easy to sign up to. It's and the company who's running it is a company called Eggs, who
Mm,
are a small independent organization who work with all the upcoming Japanese bands in Tokyo. So they are, I mean, I would say that they're reliable. It's not like a
yeah.
bot website or anything. But yeah, if you vote for Caramel Candid, there is a serious chance. We're in a really heavy competition. You can vote once every day, but this closes on the 24th. So there might
Does it
not be
show
a
you
huge
the
amount of time.
like the live progress of the vote, or do you not know until the end, until it's announced?
You don't know until the end, but however, because I've been rallying the fans, I've been using like social media and following like hashtags and analytics to check. And at the moment,
Mm.
it's pretty close. It is pretty close. Caramel Candid could win this one, but it is close. But yeah, I mean, basically, I am really saying I want you can vote once a day. Even if you just won't vote once, that's great. If you manage to get two votes in, that's great. But yeah, this is a massive
Yeah, the link is
opportunity.
down below, by the way. If you are watching this and it's still open in time, I'm not too sure if it is, then yeah, go click on
Well,
it.
let's put it this way. If you're watching this as part of just the little short clip video that you've probably seen that's only a few minutes long that I've posted on the ESC's channel, if you're watching this and it's like what the if you're watching it right now and it's the 22nd, I think. Yeah,
Mhm.
22nd of July, or the 23rd of July, then the only thing you're going to see in the description box is literally that link. I'm just going to put that link and nothing else in there. So just click on the link, just click it, vote for Caramel Candy, click vote for do it. Do it. And because the thing is that this honestly is a massive part of, I mean, as you know, I've been supporting this band from day one, from their very first gig back in July 2023. As I say, the whole reason being is because I do genuinely believe they're on their way up. They've proved it every step of the way. And this is that moment where they can take the step from live house band into being on stage with like Silent Siren, freaking industry legends. They might not have the name overseas, but Silent Siren in Japan, that is a big name. You speak about Silent Siren alongside things like Scandal, Bandmade. Remember, Bandmade danced to a Silent Siren song. You've all seen that, the Koino Esper dance. That's who Silent Siren are. Caramel Candid can be on stage with them. So that's all I want. I just want to
Yeah,
do
that
that
would be
and
massive for them. Yeah.
be part of that story. Be part of that story with us. Be part of that story. And hey, man, if you're part of that story, you get to share the little link, share it with pride, because when they're famous later on, you can be part of that story. So there you go. I
There
just
you
wanted to
go.
say that.
So I like that.
Should we get back to the normal podcast stuff now?
So yeah, yeah. So what's next then? Hope you guys enjoyed our talk about our gigs that we went to this week.
What's next is that I'm going to quickly go to a toilet, grab a coffee, and while I'm doing that, we're going to do a thing that's now become a regular part of this, which is the "What will you say while Howard's back's turned" thing. And then when I come back, we do have another subject to talk about. But let's see what Neon is going to talk about whilst Howard's back's turned.
All right. Okay. So I love how he sort of like throws me under the bus a little bit there. So I suppose this is the time where I get a little bit sappy, maybe a little bit, and probably just say it as well to thank everybody who's watching this video, I imagine. We really appreciate your support. It's to the East has been growing slowly but consistently through our ups and downs, and for every turbulent week that we have a really good week as well. And I think I want to thank everybody as well who's here, who clicks on the video, who shares, really supports us, not only as a collective on East to the East, but I know for the people that help Howard as well behind the scenes with his issues, with obviously his visa, and help supporting him to make sure that his channel can grow, and for those as well that come from East to the East onto my own channel to offer their support, and the people that I have met going to gigs from East to the East that have come over and said hi to me and stuff like that. It's moments like this which are truly special. It's one of the reasons why we do it, not only for our love of the bands as well, but for our love to share our enthusiasm and love for all things kind of like Japanese and bands, and to find like-minded people as well. So yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. And I hope that we will continue to entertain you for a considerable amount of time in the future, and that you will keep coming back, keep clicking the videos. As Howard said as well down below, please make sure to click the Caramel Candid link if you haven't already. Vote. That would mean so much to him. It would mean so much to us, and it would mean so much to the band as well. It would be absolutely amazing if Caramel Candid could win. So please, 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 please click the link. Make it happen, because at the end of the day, life is full of stories, and as Howard said, you could be part of Caramel Candid's one. So yeah, do us a favor, do them a favor, for a band that very much deserves it, and make sure you vote, 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 vote. And with that, like I said, what an absolute bastard he is. Jesus Christ, that's just some days I want to strangle. Oh, he's back. So, hello.
Strangle what?
So,
Goes purple if you do
strangle.
it too hard.
Yeah, I was just telling the chat what I'm into in my spare time.
To think you stayed in my apartment. Right.
I know. Hey, you asked me. You told me to do it
Ah,
today.
you didn't even check what I was putting in your coffee every day.
Yeah.
I'm
So, oh, I
oh
knew.
man.
I just didn't stop you.
I should have made you pay extra in that case.
I was free drugs. I'm not gonna say no to that.
All right. So anyway, who knows what Neon was talking about? But we are back to talk about a bit of a different subject. Maybe, I mean, maybe this was what he was talking about, but somehow I doubt it. So obviously, look, it's a topic that we try to avoid coming around to too much on this channel because we used to talk about it way too much. But there's a new lens under which to talk about this. Look, we've spoken a million times about Babymetal before. But the
Yes.
truth is that we now live in a world where realistically, although Babymetal exists and Babymetal will continue to exist, there are two legitimate claimers to their, I said claimers to their throne. There's basically two legitimate children of this group. two groups who've come up in the image of Baby Metal who have a realistic kind of chance to, if you like, walk in those footsteps, but with their own identity. Now, I'm talking about, first of all, you'll probably all be familiar at least with the group Metalverse, who are, come from the same stable. Most of them are coming from Sakura Gaku and the members. They're run by Koba. They're all basically, they were generated in the footsteps of Babymetal, literally, some might even say too closely. Then the other one is a group from Tokyo called Dizzy Reverse, who actually also have another identity as Dizzy Metal, where they originally started as a Baby Metal cover group, but have actually now migrated into having their own songs, doing their own thing, having their own image, having their own identity. But, although they're doing that, it still basically is, they haven't stepped far away from basically looking like, again, the children of Baby Metal. They still have a similar look. Their most recent music video follows a relatively similar formula. However, these two groups basically coming up, and to be honest, it might be that none of them even really get that much into the mainstream attention. But I would say they're both making a very, very strong claim to be in that world, in that shadow, but as a very large presence. So I have got a lot to say on this subject, but I'm sure people are very aware of what it sounds like listening to my voice already. Even at this point, you're probably getting bored of my voice. So, given that flag that is blurred but very clearly behind you, Leon, I wanted to get you started on this. And maybe let's just run through, your thoughts on all three of them. Metal Reverse, sorry, Dizzy Reverse, Metalverse, and Baby Metal, the three groups we're really talking about here. What do you think is the current state with all three of them?
Well, I think, like you said, like they feel like the children of Baby Metal, so almost to an extent. Like if Baby Metal were gods, like the other two would be demigods or something like that. They feel like they definitely come from the same pantheon. Um,
You got your Zeus up top, and then
yeah, exactly. Um, I enjoy all three for various different reasons. It's amazing how close knit they all are, and they all stem from the same subject matter, which is baby metal, yet also have their own character and their own sort of goals, I want to say, in mind. Baby metal for me have gone through a copious amount of changes. They have had to change their sound for better or for worse. Some people might argue, more because of things like age, situations that were out of their control with the death of Mikao and Yui having her injuries. We think. Then they've had to.
I like how you're being. Let's just say Yui. Just don't add anything else. That everyone has so many theories. It's like,
Yeah.
and
So
Yui.
obviously, like you with like her injuries or something maybe. So now, obviously, they had the metalverse genre where they dabbled obviously with two, didn't quite know what they were going for. They thought Yui might return, it wasn't exactly announced then. And then we had the Avengers when it became obvious that Yui wasn't coming back, and then we've now got Momo as a third. They've gone through so many changes, kind of a little bit forced. The music's changed as well over the years, as well as the cuteness maybe has dissipated somewhat. Now for a more Western sound, I want to say, with more, none of that more prevalent than Metal Fourth, where there is so many Western collaborations on that album. Um, so Baby Metal have gone through so many changes, and I think I want to make this point because for me this is what the difference between Metalverse and Dizzy is where I feel like Metalverse is a child born of from current Baby Metal. It feels like a almost a carbon copy, a clone, shall we say. The setup is the same, the music is the same. Obviously, Koba's behind it. You can see the the similarities of, I want to say, the corporate backing of Metalverse, which is akin to how Baby Metal works. Whereas with Dizzy, for me personally, again, very subjective opinion here, Dizzy feels to me what Baby Metal could have been if the Metal Resistance era continued. They feel like Baby Metal, but they feel like Baby Metal from 2018.
It
Um,
really does feel like they came into existence covering what I think we would consider like the classic trilogy. Um,
yes. So I like Metalverse, Baby Metal, and Dizzy for the same reason why I love them because they all come from Baby Metal, but for distinctly different reasons. And I like all of them. I don't really have a fault with any of them. I like that Metalverse is almost a carbon copy of Baby Metal, but it's also distinctly different. There's so many similarities there, but I like that the girls have now kind of taken the run for. When Metalverse started, I believe there was four, maybe five of them, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the exact amount.
they went from five to three,
There's
and I
three.
can't remember how.
So
Is there three now? There's
there's
three now, I
three
think.
now. So they obviously they came when Metalverse first came out, they released a song. I was very excited about them, and then the hype for them seemed to die quite
Well, they
quickly.
seem to just vanish for like
They
best part
seemed
of
to
a year,
just
didn't
vanish
they?
off the
Yeah.
face of the earth for a little bit. And I was like, oh, maybe that's it for Metalverse. And then suddenly 2 years later, they're back stronger than ever with the free girl lineup
I
and stuff. So
I do wonder.
I
I
think they
do wonder
maybe
how
pushed the
much of
button a
that.
little bit too early on that, had some problems, and then had to reset.
Yeah, I do wonder how much of that issue was down to the fact that that they had two members suddenly leave because there could have been any
Mm,
that chicken and egg. We don't know why that
yeah,
happened.
we don't know why.
There could be all those kind of things. But yeah, they vanished, and I seem to remember there was this longest period of time where we were just they didn't have any recorded
Mm,
material actually released, and became almost like a bit of a joke. Like, oh look, there's this group. You've got these super talented women. You've clearly written songs for them. So why don't they have any music out? And it felt like, when you get one of those movies released where like the trailer comes out and then the movie gets delayed like 18 times and then like they're like always giving you updates from the set. And it's like, oh, it's good and this person's on board to direct. Sorry, I got a mosquito. There you go. You're dead now. You got like all of these people and they talk about all this stuff, they give you updates, but it never seems to happen. And that's what Metalverse felt like. But now they've arrived. For me, I have a very conflicted feeling on Metalverse because, in a way, there's so many things I strongly love about this group and
mm,
really frustrate me. Like, on the positive side, you have an amazing lead singer. I mean, I've heard people compare her to Sue, and I think they're very different vocalists, but I would certainly say that whether you prefer her or you prefer Sue, for me, she's definitely on a similar level. I don't think
yeah,
anyone could
I
question
no,
that.
I agree with
They
that.
they got a stunning lead singer, but they don't let the other members sing. They've got a musical identity that does seem to like have potential to be something different, but they insist on making them look as much like Baby Metal as possible to the point that they
Mm,
don't really feel like they're able to craft their own image. They have this thing where, every time they sort of release something, it's like covered in lore and they're trying to make it like really fit into the whole Baby Metal universe. But on the other side, they've got one of the most epic backing bands, like rolling lists, where you've got people like Lisa X, Asterism, Serena and Nagisa from Trident. You've got these incredible talents. It's like it feels to me like every time they have something which is like really amazing, they've got something which is just really like, oh, for God's sake, just let them
yeah,
fucking do their thing.
that
Um,
comes back to what I said about the corporate thing, for better or for worse. Really,
yeah.
like it feels like there's so much potential there, but I feel like they also inherited all the bad things that I dislike about Baby Metal. As much as
But
I'm an avid fan of Baby Metal, there's things that I'm like I wish, as much as I know people like really like the lore, there's things where I would like really like to interact with the band a little bit more, and I feel like Metalverse is kind of picking up all those bad habits.
But the reason I bring this up is because obviously both these groups they just had like music. I think now I might be wrong, but I think this was both of them just had their first ever music video
Yeah.
together in a very. I know there was live videos, don't get me
Mm.
wrong, but I'm talking about proper first ever
Proper
music
music
video.
videos.
I believe they both just did that in very short succession. So Melverse had Giza.
Yep.
And Dizzy Reverse had Unchain Your Mind. Now, the interesting thing is, not only did they come out at a similar time, they both even have some similar visual aspects. They're not super different as music videos. It's the dark room with a backlighting makes up most of it. Back torch, kind of beam light. You've got similar things with the lighting. Now, just to bring Dizzy Reverse into this a little bit as well. Obviously, the main member, I think it's Uyu, she is I believe she's a very talented songwriter and musician. She's been in other bands. In fact, I believe she actively still is in other bands. I believe she worked with things like Mana Diagram. This is a woman who's got her own musical talents.
Yeah, she's very
And
talented.
well, you watch things like their music video alongside the Metalverse one, and obviously the recording, the video, everything about the Dizzy Reverse one looks a little bit cheaper, but it looks good enough.
It looks good.
And moreover, there's this feeling like they're the plucky underdogs who've done a hell of a
Hell of a
lot
lot
with not
better.
very much.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at Metalverse and you're like, you've got so much talent, but I just feel like it's like you've got talent, you've got opportunities, you've got backing, and there
Mm.
is that feeling like Metalverse should have this one wrapped up. And yet Dizzy Reverse feel like the plucky underdogs who are overachieving. And they've only got one song out. But oh, actually,
Mm.
they have got other recordings, but they've
They
only got
have got,
one
yeah, they
music
have
video
got other
out.
songs and stuff.
But the thing is that so the future is far from unwritten, far from written, but it just feels to me like it's like this is these two are interestingly landing on a level playing field, which you wouldn't expect,
Mm.
given the background.
Like I said, I think both of them are amazingly talented, and like I said,
Mm-mm.
I love both of them for, like I said, amazingly different reasons. Considering that they're both aiming for pretty much the same thing, it's crazy how that works. Yeah, you can't help but look at Dizzy and want to sort of like. It's like I know you're gonna fucking roll your eyes here, but it's like watching football when like the
Oh, hey, I'll let you have it. The World Cup
yeah.
just finished. I know your team didn't do so well. I'll let you have
Well, we came third, so that's not bad. Better than we usually do.
it.
um, so it's like watching football where the same team wins over and over and over again, or the same team is expected to win, but then an underdog comes out of nowhere, and you can't help it. You want the underdog to win, like
Yeah.
and that's what Dizzy is. I think coming into this one, like, yes, the quality of the music video is obviously nowhere near as good as Metalverse is, but the authenticity of it, the passion, I think, of what they do
And it's
oozes
still
from
it's
that music
still
video.
good. I
It's
mean,
still good, yeah.
it's only not as good just because the Metalverse one has clearly got so much
Clearly,
money and like
professional
really
money
good
back it,
cameras.
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like one of those things where you could say the difference is more just down to the pure like the amount of resources they have for like
Yeah.
beautiful tech.
And
Um,
yeah, like I said, it was great. I listened to the Dizzy song, and like I said, it really feels like, even though they're both the same tributes to the to Baby Metal, they feel like two different slabs of Baby Metal at two different points in their career.
yeah, I think you're really right about that. Yeah.
And I listened to the Dizzy song, and I said on one of my reaction videos as well to that. I said this makes me feel nostalgic for Baby Metal. This feels like an alternate reality where, like, perhaps you didn't leave Baby Metal at that particular time, and this is a continuation of Metal Resistance. It has the same tones, the feel to it. This is what I'm thinking of. The girls had kept going with their current trajectory. Dizzy feels like what they should have been before things turned for them, and they were forced to kind of change a little bit. And there's a comment that I made that I know got me a little bit heat, but a lot of people agreed with me. So, and I said that Dizzy sounds more like Baby Metal than Baby Metal sound like Baby Metal right now. Um,
No, that's a that's definitely an interesting comment. It's definitely an interesting
Um,
comment.
and I couldn't believe how nostalgic it made me, and that's why I really that's the moment for me where Dizzy kind of like really clicked, and I looked at this not as much of a tribute act to Baby Metal or a homage. I looked at that as like, you're really good actually. I like this a lot. Because it satisfied an itch, a scratch that I didn't quite know that I was missing from Baby Metal, I think a little bit. And I love that about them. And
I
again,
think the best way of maybe because let's be honest, a lot of what we're talking about here is vibes because
yeah,
these are two groups who are still very early. They've got a lot of information. They've been
mm,
around both of them been around for a few years now in their own way, but both of them are still technically very early in actually
really
producing
early.
their own music. And that kind of makes me think that really the best thing to really sort of give here, as we don't know the future, is really our vibes on what we see
Mm.
coming of this. Um, and so, I mean, if I just lay it down first of all, just in a way to kind of support your point. So when we look at baby metal, which is effectively the top of this tree, for me, I I've said that they're in a very precarious place for my personal fandom. I think they're going to do fine, whatever. But for me, like I've said this many times, after the other one, they got Momoko on board. I was like, they're back to being a three-piece, and all I wanted is, all right, let's get back to being a three-piece. I don't want a repeat of the old days. I want you to do the new version of Baby Metal with a three-piece. And I really loved the fact that they started having this humor. It's like, okay, they can't be cutesy little schoolgirls anymore, but they had this new sense of humor. It's like, okay, you got the three-piece back, you got that bright energy back where you feel like you're kind of metal and pop mixed. But then the music came out, and I've got to be honest with you, I did enjoy some of the songs, but for me, it was all better than expected rather than, oh my God, I love this. This is baby metal.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, it was all okay. That's better than what I expected when you told me you were going to release a song with Poppy. But it's like, this isn't what I come to babe metal for. And like I said, I'm not asking them to go back to the past. I just want to see something new that actually feels like an evolution of babe metal rather than now babe metal's famous. We're going to try and do the Western thing, which is really what it sounds like to me. We can go into that, but I'm sure people don't want to. But I have reasons why I believe that. So when I'm looking at the two groups underneath them, Dizzy Reverse and Metalverse, hard to say both of those names and not get it wrong. When it comes to both of them, the thing which is interesting for me is I feel like Metalverse, again, they have like this pool of just the most unbelievable backing musicians. And there's a name for that project, apologies, I've forgotten that. And they should be using all five amazing singers they have, but they've at least got one great singer. I'm just thinking, how amazing would it be if all five of those, with the amazing woman up front, all five of them started
Three.
singing.
There's three of them now. Just to
Oh,
correct you.
three. Apologies. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. So, if all three of them started singing, you've got one amazing singer, two great singers in the back. Because I mean, let's face it, I don't know, but they come from like Sakura Gaku, and they're definitely
Yeah.
trained. So you got that. Then you just instead of like hiding them, you make a big deal out of this awesome like revolving door of awesome musicians you have. Can you imagine how exciting that is? And then they start doing music which is not too different, but takes them in a little bit of a different
Mm.
direction. Can you imagine how exciting and refreshing that would be? But instead, I feel like this group will never be allowed to step out of Babe Metal's shadow. I don't think they'll ever be able to be an evolution of Babe Metal. They'll always feel like they're, just kept as like oh, this is the opening act kind of thing.
Mm.
And that for me is where Dizzy Reverse, even though they got less money, even they got less exposure, they're still really popular on the live circuit. And this is where, if they keep on plugging away at it, they could be a very successful underdog. Because the thing is that they've got their songwriters on board. They're people of the team. You know, they have musical talent on board. They understand they work with their own musicians. They
Yeah.
are like the full indie thing, and they're not restrained. They can be whatever they want to be. They can take this in whatever direction they want to take it. And for me, if you're looking at a group who's going to take the baby metal sound of old forward, personally, I kind of want it to be Metalverse. But the thing is, I think it's going to be Dizzy Reverse. I think Dizzy Reverse is going
Yeah.
to be allowed to do that. And Metalverse, I don't think will ever be allowed to do anything like that.
I think as well that what you said as well. I think Metalverse, for all the talent, for all the money and resources that it has behind it, I think fan perception to Metalverse is not kind.
Oh,
I
really? I haven't
oh,
seen this.
well,
I haven't seen this.
let me explain. I feel like when Metalverse announced, and there was two types of reactions. I feel like from a lot of Baby Metal fans, there was oh, this is cool. This is going to expand the universe of Baby Metal, and we're going to have like some cool like them opening and a different band to root for. And there was other people who were like, well, why do we need the same again? We already have Baby Metal. And when half of those fans have already decided, well, what, like, I'm already a Baby Metal fan. Why would I need to support? Like, you're already straight away at a disadvantage. Um, and I feel like that's a disadvantage they quite haven't shaken off yet. That might come in a year or two when they develop, like, when they become more of their own thing, hopefully. But I feel like having the disadvantage is like we've already spoke about having Koga running the show, having the similarities be too comparable to Baby Metal. I know that's the point as well, but I feel like that just set them up to fail a little bit before they even kind of got going.
I guess that is part of the question is that because I mean, as much as I say what I'm saying, um, the truth is that Metalverse does have to in some way be a reflection of Baby Metal.
Mm,
But the truth is that it's like, well, at what point do you let that end? How far do you take that? Um, and I just feel like there's a lot of bad decision making. I mean, like I say, the thing about only one member ever sings, that is shit decision making. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There is no reason for that. It's shit decision making. Um, and the whole thing about them wearing outfits that look a lot like Baby Metal, that's shit decision making because you can make them have outfits, maybe
yeah.
little things that fans will notice, like, oh, that's the same thing that Baby Metal have. But having them looking really similar to anyone who's not already a Baby Metal fan,
Mm,
they're just Babymetal. It's like, why is there another Babymetal? Which means that
yeah.
it got no expansion possibility. And
Do
yeah,
you know,
just for me, it's just fucking it's so
yeah.
galling.
Do you know what? I feel sort of insanely guilty a little bit because I've been a staunch defender of Metalverse since they came out. And I've
That's a good
always
thing.
said that I really like them. I really like this project. I like that it's expanding the big metal universe, and I like the opportunities that we could get. For those that were really dismissive of them. But I got to admit, like when I heard Dizzy's track, I was kind of like, I like Dizzy so much better. And I was like, and that's not me shitting on Metalverse. I really like them as well. I like all three, and I would happily take all three every single day. But there was just something again, the plucky underdog that just Dizzy Burst to me, Dizzy Reverse felt way more genuine for some strange reason
Well,
than Metalverse did.
I think it's because the one thing that we would agree is that there is not a lack of talent.
No, they are
Neither of
all
these groups
talented.
has a talent lack. If anything, you could say Metal. I mean, obviously, yeah, Metal Reverse, Dizzy Reverse. Sorry, I knew I was going to get it wrong. Dizzy Reverse have obviously, Uyu seems to have like a little bit more. She has some extra talents from the indie
Yeah.
world, but I mean, Metalverse, you could say, given that they've all come up through Sakura Gakuin and they got that kind of training from that kind of age, and they've got those kind of backing musicians on hand. You could say they probably got more talent on tap, just because I mean, how could you have more talent on tap?
You know
But
what?
no one, neither of these groups is lacking.
I kind of wish they hadn't released their videos so close to each other, because if like let's say the Dizzy thing didn't release and that doesn't exist, I'd be
Yeah,
gushing over Metalverse right now. Absolutely gushing. Because I love
that's
Gira.
interesting.
And I thought this was really good. And I
It's
thought
called
that the
Geezer, actually. Remember to be English about it. Geezer.
Giza,
Called Geezer.
Giza, Giza. Um, I
What,
loved it,
Geezer?
and I was so happy about it. And I was like, I really loved it. And they felt like they came such a long way, and they made massive strides forward. And then Dizzy Reverse released their song, and like it
Just
kind of
shat
like,
on it.
fuck
You're
yeah,
like,
it kind of
no.
just blows it out of the water, but for completely different reasons. Like I said, it was an itch I didn't know needed scratching, the Dizzy stuff
I
and
mean,
the passion of the project. And I kind of look at Dizzy Reverse now and I'm like, I feel really bad for them a little bit.
look, I, I say this with fluency because when I listen to Geezer, um, it's
Giza.
very catchy. Geezer. When I listen to
Giza.
Geezer, I'm just going to open up the video to have a quick look at what the stats are right now. Oh God,
Yeah.
adverts.
Well, yeah, what are the
Um,
views for both
but
videos? I
I,
imagine Metalverse
I,
will do better because of
oh
the
God, yeah,
promotion and
man.
stuff like that.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's got
this
money
thing,
behind it.
you are literally talking indie group versus like
Yeah, yeah.
massive name. So
Massive
the numbers
act
aren't
group.
even comparable. So actually, sorry, there was actually a distance between them that I did not know. So my apologies. Geezer actually came out in May. It came out 2 months ago.
Oh, really? Wow, that's a bit fairer than I thought.
Oh yeah, okay, so okay, and yeah, so Dizzyverse came out on July 1st. That kind of like strikes me a bit confusing that we didn't know that Geezer came out that two months ago. So I mean, it kind of suggests to me that maybe the maybe the advertising wasn't as much as we expected, but still within 2 months of each other, is still relatively close. So for anyone who's shouting at the screen, oh, it didn't come out at the same time. Yeah, we know now.
Well, again,
Um,
I think the what we talked about before about like just like them disappearing off the face of the planet. I think that really took a lot of momentum from their sales.
well, Metalverse have managed to clock up coming up to 250,000.
That's really
Um,
good.
views. Whereas after 3 weeks, Dizzyverse have got 8,000, which is really what you get from that comparison of indie
Yeah.
versus sponsored. And yet, here's the thing. Look, Geezer, I
Giza.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but the thing is, it was ultimately, it felt to me like here's a riff, riff repeats, song on top. It felt, considering the talent you have on offer, it felt very unimaginative. I mean, I'm thinking you've got like, it was very formulaic. You got people like Lisa X. I mean, yes, she's backing band. Pay her some money, get her to write the song. Okay. Lisa X might be bloody young, but I tell you what, listen to what she's doing with Koi Eye.
Mm.
Do you want bring in a few of them, bring in Nagisa to do the drums. Hire Nagisa, say, right, put down a drum line. Lisa, put down a guitar line. Call Wakazayamon or Serena or someone, Asterism, call them. Just get a
Mm.
couple of people in who you've got on phone, offer them some of that sweet, sweet dosh you've got, get them to write something and say, look, do it roughly in the sort of baby metal universe sound, but give it its own individual flair.
Yeah.
You're going to have something which is going to be. Look, Nagisa from Trident, she has written full-length songs on Trident's most recent EP. Check it out, brilliant. Blue Dawn. Lisa X obviously got that talent. You've got so many people. You could easily hire these people and get them to do it and end up with something truly unique. Okay, they probably don't want to do it for
Would
rights
you
reasons.
argue then that Giza was relatively safe? Do you think
Well,
because of
it's
like this
incredibly safe.
incredible, do you reckon that's
I
due to the
mean,
stop-start nature of like their beginnings and stuff?
no, I think it's a genuine lack of. I think they're scared. I think they're scared.
Mm.
I'm talking about the people in charge. They're
Did
scared
you
to.
say the views
They're
have got
trying.
250,000?
Nearly quarter of a million,
Nearly a quarter.
232,000.
See, to
Um,
me, as good as that
I
sounds,
so I just wanted to add
yeah, sorry.
one quick point. Sorry, the main point I really wanted to make there was just to say that as a result, after this, literally just as a music fan, Geezer is a song that I don't really feel excited to come back round to because there's other songs that do that same thing better.
Mm.
Whereas the Unchain Your Mind, I am totally on board coming back to that because it's something interesting, it's something different, it's something that we're not getting a lot of elsewhere. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was gonna say the 250,000 views, as good as that probably sounds, I would have expected Metalverse to get so much more than that, to be honest.
Okay. It's hard to
Um,
judge though, isn't it?
it is hard to judge. I wonder. Can we go back to what Metalverse dropped when they originally announced? What are the views like for that? Um, because I don't know if it's just like a case of
Let me go
momentum. That's
back
just
through their channel.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I don't know if it will be a case of just momentum feels like it's been gone. Like,
Can I can I just say, so Metalverse have their own official YouTube channel. Did that come out of straight? I'm just checking when they launched their own official YouTube
mm,
channel. So this opened, so it opened on March 8th, 2023. So that um okay, can I just say something really funny?
yeah, go on.
Um Metalverse's official YouTube channel opened at roughly the same point that Caramel Candid posted their first video. All right. Um Caramel Candid have yes, almost exactly half as many subscribers as Metalverse.
That's crazy.
The independent group who have no representation. That's what happens when you're a hardcore plucky underdog and you genuinely fight for it. Again, no disrespect to Metalverse, disrespect to the way they've been presented. But they've got
Mm,
26.2 thousand subscribers, compared to Caracan's 12.8. So yeah,
mm.
12.9. So nearly exactly half.
What's Dizzy on at the minute?
Sorry, I just closed that window. Let me just quickly open that one up again. Um, one second. I'm using the power of the history tab. Oh my God, what have I been watching? Sweet, sweet goodness. So yeah, Dizzy Reverse are on 2.56 thousand. So that's interesting in itself. I mean, like Dizzy Reverse, when did they open their channel? Because of course they opened up as a cover group anyway. Um, and try and get some information on their channel as well. Because I mean, obviously, when it comes to things like YouTube, that's not going to tell you all the things, but it's interesting
No.
stats. So Dizzy Reverse, they only opened their YouTube channel just over 1 year ago,
Yeah.
and they're already up to 2.56 thousand subscribers, doing
But
much better than it is to
again,
be.
for a group that's not backed and doesn't have the promotion and the numbers thrown behind them, that's always going to be a disparity there.
They they play in live houses that if you were like speaking to an American person, they would describe it as like a music bar or something. They
Mm.
play in places where, you see them down at places like Shimokitazawa Mosaic, which I absolutely love, but that's like a 250 cap place. That's the sort of place where they're playing. So, and Metalverse are playing at big old F off stadiums
Yeah.
opening up
If
for
if you're
um,
watching this video and you never heard of Disney Reverse as well, please go and check them out. I
we should have the
wholeheartedly
link underneath. Yeah,
yeah.
link should be there.
Because you'll know what we're talking about, I think, when you hear the song, or if you haven't already. Because I imagine most people will know who Babymetal are, most people will know who Metalverse are. Maybe a few people unaware still are of Dizzy Reverse. So go
I
and
mean,
check them out.
if you don't know who Metalverse or Dizzy Reverse are, thank you for watching this video. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, as well. Thank you for that.
thank you for watching this video. You know? But yeah, I like legitimately, I can't help but feel like these statistics. Obviously, there's so much context; they don't tell you the whole story. But it
Yeah.
does kind of intrigue me that Metalverse have got like so. This most recent video, they got 250,000 or 232,000 views and their subscriber count is 26,000. Also, like Crazy J from 2 years ago had 751,000 views. Naked Princess from 2 years ago had 470,000 views. So this kind of suggests that the people who are watching the videos are probably watching them on repeat play, or you've got a lot of people who are watching them and who are not subscribing,
Mm,
which is, just sort of curiosity clicks. It's hard to know which one of those it is, but it does seem intriguing to me that they've only got 26,000 subscribers giving all of this. Um, and yeah, I mean, as I say, it's going to be interesting to know how this plays out, what this looks like in the future. But one of these groups has limitless potential, limitless resources, extensive resources, and yet seems to basically be cruising along under the radar, with exception to the main fan base. The other group has no resources, nothing to run on, and is absolutely punching above their weight, although obviously on a much smaller scale where the rules are very different.
mm. Yeah, it's an interesting comparison, and all three offer their own, take on different things. I love that about them. They all satisfy a different era, I want to say a little bit more. Maybe Metalverse a little bit less so because they again they're trying to be a more of a carbon copy of Baby Metal, which already fills that gap. But I would like to know what people think about like what I said before about like people's opinions on Metalverse. Are you one of the people? Let us know in the comments. Are you one of the people that like when you hear Metalverse, you're like, oh, I really love this group. I really like them. Do you interested but maybe don't like them, or are you one of the people that, like I just don't see the point in supporting them because there's already Baby Metal? Why would I need to do it
Which
twice?
one, which one are you more hopeful for is something I'm really interested to ask people as
Oh,
well. Um, because here's the thing, if someone said to me right now that one of these three bands, from this point on, you'll be able to hear everything they release, but not the other two.
oh,
I think most people would probably say Babymetal, but the truth is that there's a part of me which is kind of like torn because like Babymetal, I don't know. I really they could go either way for me. They could either be on a trajectory to do music that I just really don't like now and become like a Western metal band and kind of go the one okay rock direction, which is fine if you want to do that thing. I'm not going to criticize, but it's not for me. It's not what Japanese music really feels like to me. Or they could pivot back and really return to what their potential always was with the new three-piece lineup and release some of the best stuff we've ever heard. Um, and when it comes to Dizzy Reverse, well, who knows what the future holds for them?
hmm.
But Metalverse, oh, I want to love that group. I
I
really
think
want to love
I'm
that
I'm
group.
gonna tackle that question from probably three different angles. The first angle being obviously if it was between Baby Metal, Metalverse, and Dizzy, Baby Metal
Yeah.
just they take that. I would much
You
prefer
just
Baby
kind of
Metal.
got to know, haven't you? You got to hear, you got to know.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta hear. No, you just got to. It's Baby Metal. They're heads and shoulders
Yeah.
above the other two, unfortunately. If I took Baby Metal out of the equation and it was just them two, and which one I would be more hopeful for, that's a bit of a harder question. The cop out answer would be I'd be hopeful for them both. I feel like there's space for both of them to exist. But we're not here for the cop out answer, are we? We're here
So
for the
look at
nitty
you
gritty
trying to
stuff.
avoid the dislikes. The dislikes happened an hour ago. It's
I
too
know, I
late.
know. Um, Strangely, I would be more hopeful, or I would like to be more hopeful for Metalverse.
Well,
Now,
I'd like to be more hopeful for them. I just don't believe
yeah,
all the things that I think are great are all the things that I think are going to get crapped
mm,
on.
yeah, I am hopeful for Metalverse, and the reason why, the reason for that is, as much as like Dizzy, it's very resource intensive. I think she'll do very, very well. They'll do very, very, very well, but we don't know how long it's going to be going for. This could just be a passion project for all we know. You know,
Are, are you sure about how long Metalverse is going to go for?
yeah. Well, this is my other point. I think with Metalverse, they've got money behind them. They'll want some reimbursement on their investment. So I think Metalverse is going to be around for a little bit longer. Um,
Shh, you wouldn't want to leave the group, see? We got a lot of money invested in these three girls. Make sure they stick around.
yeah, geezer. um,
Oh yeah, I should go for like London gangsters, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. Oh, you geezer. um, but yeah, with Metalverse, I would want to be more hopeful for them because I feel there is again an abundance of potential there. I think they've been again, like I said, they've inherited so many bad habits of Babymetal, but there's also so many positives to them as well. And just like Babymetal, as the point you just made, I reckon it could go either way with Metalverse. They've got the potential to release some of the most brilliant stuff, but they also have the potential to go the other way as well.
Do you know
Um,
what? Actually, you raise a good point because if the funny thing is, if someone just showed me on paper the three groups, I would assume, well, showed me each of the individual people involved and showed me on paper what it was. I would assume that Metalverse would easily be my favorite, and the reason I say that is because it feels like it feels like it's the best of all worlds. It's like they've got the money, they've got the banking, they've got the resource intensiveness. They've got like seriously trained people. They've got a lead singer who, like I say, is like super talented. I adore her voice. Really love her voice. And then they've got this like pool of just the greatest upcoming female musicians fucking on tap, just on call.
mm.
Halka, come here. It's like Serena, come here. Lisa X, come here. It's like this is like one of those things. If you showed me that on paper and said, "Hey, Howard, would you like to see that?" I'd chew your arms off to see
Yeah.
that. And then you go and show me Geezer. I'm like,
And again, I think that's one of the things where I think if Giza had come up by itself and Baby Metal doesn't exist, I think it would be one of the best things ever. I think we'd be creaming all
I
over it.
don't.
I really
I
do.
don't.
Well, I
I
think we would
don't.
have negative things to say, but if Baby in a world where Baby Metal wouldn't exist and Giza came out, we would be like, this is freaking amazing. Or at least I
I
think
don't
I
think
would
I
be.
would. I don't think I would. I think it's okay, but I do think it. I mean, even without Babe Metal as context, I think it's not that imaginative compared to what most of their peers are doing. It is a
Mm.
relatively. It's a very safe song.
It
I
is a
mean,
very safe song, to be
for a
fair.
group who have as much talent as they have, and I don't know who these backing people are in the video, and I'm sure they're great, but I'm like, I don't know. It's like use this pool of talent you have. I mean,
Mm.
you've got enough money. If they're asking for money, pay the money.
Yeah, like I said, I think with the Baby Metal comparisons is a blessing, but it's a curse. I think it's a blessing because it definitely shines a light on Metalverse more than probably they would get the attention. I also think it's a curse because they're forever living in the shadow of Baby Metal, and I think a lot of people are looking at
Yeah.
Metalverse and be like, "Well, I already have Baby Metal, so like, why would I
But
go there?"
we got Babe Metal at home.
So yeah, we got Baby Metal at home. Why would I go out for Metalverse when I can just eat, Baby Metal at home? So it's a blessing and it's a curse. So I feel like for Metalverse, my heart kind of goes out for them a little bit because I'm like,
Yeah,
there's so much
absolutely.
there that I want, but at the same time, they've got so much going against them in terms of what Cobra's doing to them a little bit, on terms of what Baby Metal that weight on them does to them a little bit. They've compared to Baby Metal and Dizzy, and Dizzy gets a bit of a pass because it's a passion project, and you
That
know,
is true. The
there's
underdog
no
also gets the most slack, yeah.
yeah, there's no weight on them. Dizzy like Metalverse instantly they get so much negativity. I think on them, and just so much they have to force against the grain a little bit. So my heart just kind of like weep for Metalverse because I want them to do well, but my brain tells me I don't know if they'll ever be given the opportunity to do that.
But then again, I mean, in a funny thing, I mean, you make a good point there, which is obviously that Dizzy Reverse, they will never. This thing about being an underdog is like
Mm.
you actually do have one benefit, which is that everything you do is seen as a wow. No one's ever going to go, well, you let yourselves down there. It's going to be a case of like, oh, wow, good job, good job. So you're always getting
Mm.
that. Whereas like, obviously, Metalverse, like growing up in the shadow of like an industry legend, is like virtually everything they do is like, well. you know,
Baby
Baby
Metal
Metal
did it
did
better.
this. Yeah, I mean, so it's like, and
Mm,
so that's actually true. They are fighting the thankless task of like losing out in that way. But I will say though that this is also the thing I garnered from what you just said there is I think that whole thing about Metalverse feeling like they're restrained, that actually is, and I could be wrong. Again, we do not know this stuff. I mean, I think we know it with Metalverse, but we do not know this with Babe Metal. But I can't help but feel like maybe Babe Metal's in a similar place where it just feels like I don't know whether the music they're doing these days is what they want to do. And I know a lot of people love it, so I'm not saying it's like bad, but it's just it doesn't feel like, the Babe Metal who broke the whole scene and like were those massive industry leaders in Japan. There's a reason why they're not so popular. There's a few reasons why they're not as popular in Japan anymore, and obviously times change. But the music they do just I think even Koba said something acknowledging this. The music they do clearly does not have the Japanese audience in mind. It's like the music they do right now is not the sort of thing that appeals to a Japanese audience hugely. Whereas obviously the music they did back in the day appealed at the time. If you released like Metal Resistance now, it probably wouldn't appeal now because times have moved on. But it feels like rather than evolving with the domestic audience, they've evolved with the overseas audience. So they've kind of grown apart from their Japanese audience. And I don't know exactly who. Again, the girls, they could just be what they want to do. I say this about One OK Rock. I'm not a big fan of modern One OK Rock, but I think they're doing what they want to do. Um, so I think it could be that, but I do wonder who steers the ship on all of these, and everyone just goes, "It's Cobra." But I think life is more complicated than that,
yeah.
especially business.
I,
Um,
you know what I would like to see for all three? I think for Baby Metal, um, the thing that sticks out for me in the last album was White Flame.
yeah,
And I
yeah, a
love
lot of
that
people
so
said that.
much. Like if they can capture that for an entirety of the next album, I think that would be brilliant. For
Are
Metal,
you
but
asking them to become love bites?
no,
I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm
I'm
joking.
maybe a little bit like I said before. I'm said my favorite era of Baby Metal, even though I became a fan after, was Metal Resistance. I love that so much. And White Flame for me managed to capture a little bit of that. And
Yeah.
I would like to see that a little bit more. I think for Metalverse for me, I think they just need a hit. They need a big churning hit that just grabs everybody's attention, and then the ability to kind of like feed off that
Do you
win.
actually believe that though? Because here's the thing: if they got a big hit, even if they had a number one chart-topping hit, I
Mm.
think everyone would look at it and go, "Oh, that's really cool. Oh, that's like a Baby Metal Junior." I think
Yeah,
even if they had a big
again,
hit,
it's
everyone
the
would just
Baby
look at them
Metal
and see Babe
comparison.
Metal.
It really
Everyone would
hurts
just
them.
look at them and see Babe Metal.
Yeah.
They'd probably, I think most people would go, "Oh, is this like the new Babe Metal?" I think most people would assume
Mm.
that rather than assuming that it was its own legitimate thing.
I wouldn't be surprised in the future. Or my thought. I mean, I had this conversation with a couple of people, and we were thinking like, Baby Metal. This is gonna make you feel really fucking old now, so prepare yourself. Um, like most of the girls from Baby Metal, they're coming up to their 30s now, and we have to
Seems
have a
about right.
yeah.
Seems about right, if I'm honest. Yeah.
And we were having this conversation of like how long do we reckon they're gonna keep going for? Like do we reckon they're gonna go the Western route where it won't matter about how long they're there for, or do we reckon the gimmick will eventually get old? And we were talking about, well, what the purpose of Metalverse be? And would there just be a changing of the guard? Would Metalverse become the new Baby Metal at some point? Whether or not that mean like Suzuka retires and they bring the singer from Metalverse and puts her as the lead, would that work? Would Metalverse just take over the name of Baby Metal, and Baby Metal would keep going but with three new members? I don't know. Um,
I
but that was an
mean,
interesting debate I've had with a few people.
there's a couple of things to bear in mind with that. First of all, Momoko is comparatively quite a bit younger than the other two.
Yeah.
So that would, if they could do something like they could take her and like add two new members and make her a new leader of a new group, or they could
Mm.
add her into, they could do the idol thing and move her into Metalverse to make it a legitimate like combination or whatever. There's all these things they could do, but ultimately, I think they hit this same problem, which is that to be honest with you, I think most people overseas aren't really so much into that kind of thing. That's kind of the idol system, and I don't think that would so much resonate with Western fans who'd be like, oh, well, they identify very much with the group is the singer and
Yeah,
everything. I
once you're
actually
in a
I actually
Western
kind of agree
band,
with that.
you're in that
But
band for life.
given that Kohlberg seems to be like 100%, his mentality just seems to be like Western thinking on these
Mm,
things now. That seems to be what his mentality is focused on. That seems to be the audience he's listening to as well. I mean, you look at all the things he writes about who he's listening to.
mm,
He doesn't seem to be listening to a Japanese audience. Um, and the interesting thing about this, in my opinion, is it kind of think it would be more likely that he would try to make Metalverse the new Babymetal, which ironically I think would be even more of a failure because people do not take a record company saying, here's the new group well. I mean, remember when Bish ended and they tried to make that new Bish? And I kept on saying, this is the worst idea. No one is going to accept this because you can't just tell them this is the new group you like. People
yeah,
don't take that. And in my opinion, that it never works. People do not take that kind of thing. It's a cheap business move. It's a cheap business move that disrespects your audience and basically says, you're stupid. We gave you one thing, you liked it, let's slop you up another one. And it also disrespects your artist because it shows you don't understand the value of your artist.
yeah,
And I can't help but feel that's the mistake that they're making with Metalverse is that they're basically prepping a backup. And that is disrespectful to the artist. It's disrespectful to the audience. I might be wrong, but I
mm,
mean, they're certainly acting a lot like they're prepping a backup.
mm,
And this is the thing you can't tell people who the next new group are. As I've said, realistically, you ask most people who who is sucking up the most old school Babe Metal fans looking for something new right now. Hana Beer.
yeah,
And they are nothing like Baby Metal, but they appeal to they scratch the same itch. They've got that kind of cutesy popness. At the same time, they genre blur. At the same time, they can do kick-ass metal.
mm,
They scratch the same itch, but they do it in the 2026 way. They
yeah,
do it in that way. Not saying they replace Baby Metal. It's just your fans are not just going to sit there and accept you giving them the same thing over and over again. And this is where Dizzy Reverse have a real opportunity because Dizzy Reverse, as they grow, they can follow their fans in the direction they want to go, and it might evolve them from a
yeah,
Baby Metal base into a whole new thing. Um, and that's the difference. That's the difference. Um, so
yeah. No, I agree with that. So that's a pretty good assessment, I think.
anyway, as we're coming towards the end of this one for today, shall we have it seems to be tradition now that towards the end of these streams, we just randomly talk about some other shit that we had in mind that we wanted to talk about today. So
So,
anything been on your mind that you want to bring up?
oh, I know, I can't really think of anything right now. My week's been really weird. We were talking about this before, obviously, because I've been down to London and going to the Atarashii Gakko gig and all that. Like literally, I came back
Atarashii
home
Gakko.
after at the Atarashii Giggo. Um, I got back late yesterday. I've been editing to get the video out. So like realistically, I'm in this weird place at the minute where I'm like I like the outside world, apart from like the World Cup, as like I've been quite like not really taking anything in. I've just been like traveling, going to the gig, editing, and then today's really the first day where I'm like, right, well, back into the swing of things. So I'm kind of like I'm in that weird position, like I kind of like I don't really have much to talk about.
Been numbed out. Your
I've been
brain's just
numbed
been
out.
numbed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're going to talk about like random topics and stuff like that, I suppose for me it would be I got an interesting thing for a video that I want to do with you, so I might as well talk about it now while
Okay.
we're talking about the
All right.
subject. And
Terrified.
me and my mates, well, we were talking and we were talking about bands and we were talking about like the tier system of a band. Like
Okay.
where would you put like in popularity? Because we were talking about
Popularity.
yeah, we were talking about Nemophila, and there was a post that we were chatting about. And in this post, it was like, well, where do you see Nemophila being? Do you feel like Nemophila will be like a legendary band? Do you feel like they'll get hit like international status? Do you reckon they'll be good at, just what they are in Japan? Or do you reckon they'll always be this cult niche thing? And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting question. And I asked this question. I was like, well, where would you compare Nemophila to all these other bands. And one of my mates turned around and went, "Oh, Nemophila is huge. I'd put them alongside Babymetal and Hanabiya." And I turned around and I said, "I disagree with that. I don't think Nemophila is anywhere near the likes of Hanabiya and Babymetal for different reasons, in terms of sales, gigs, internationally, records, album, and stuff like that." I said, I think there's loads of different reasons why Nemo aren't quite that same level. So what I plan to do, and maybe the people on the channel can help me with this one. I plan to get a tier list for a little bit of a game, but a little bit of a conversation with me, you, and Benedict. And I want to do like a plethora of Nova bands, and I want to rank them on a tier system of where we as a trio personally think that they are compared to their peers. Because I found the subject really interesting on how you would compare one band to another in terms of success, legacy, like again, like international renown. I found that whole subject to be quite fascinating. I love stuff like that. I sound really posh when I say that. I find the whole subject quite
I,
fascinating.
it's
um,
quite an indulgent thought experiment for me.
yeah, but that yeah, I love yapping on here, and that was a kind of a subject where I loved yapping when we were talking about it. So, and I loved hearing other people's opinions because they vary so different to my own a little bit. Like some people were like, "Oh, Nemo's massive," and then I had to counter, and I was like, "Well, why are Nemo massive?" I was like, "Do they pull bigger numbers than like again Hanabiya internationally?" The answer was no. Do they sell better than Hanabiya? And the answer to that was no. I know. Are they more recognized than Hanabiya? Again, no. This is just an example. So I was like, so how can you put Nemo in the same bracket? You know, realistically. But then that's where personal opinion comes in because you're something a band for you is going to be automatically higher because you like them more. But then
Well,
when you compare them to other things like statistically, does it still make sense? It's a
I
good
mean,
argument of basing your love and passion for a band against the raw statistical numbers about how that band is actually performing.
the thing is that this to me seems like a difficult one, partly because
Mm.
the question becomes, what are you actually asking here? And I think that the
Mm.
subjectivity is what you're actually narrowing down towards. But when it comes to popularity, popularity, you could argue, is an objective metric. But then, so do you mean popularity is in the spread, or do you mean as in how loyal the fans are? Because the comparison I often use is you could take like a group um uh, like someone really really legendary who's got like millions and millions of
Yeah.
fans. And it could be someone who's like super super popular and fills out stadiums and everything. But their fans are kind of like fans of them because they're the current fashion, they're the in thing. These are
Mm.
probably people who are obsessed because they're obsessed with that, that phase. Um, or it could just be anything like that. But then real fans, you could get ones who are genre fans. So you get some bands who appeal specifically to a genre. We often talk about how hardcore Love Bites fans are.
Yeah.
That's because Love Bites are appealing to a very specific sound. And interestingly, it's a sound that hasn't been particularly well served by other bands in recent decades, especially in the West. So they've got a very niche but addicted fan base. So I think the problem is popularity. You're kind of looking at scale versus intensity, and it's like trying to find a balance between those two things. You could argue that this is why bands like Babymetal and Bandmade have, at least historically, maybe Babymetal's kind of changing a little bit in recent years, but in at their peaks, which you could argue Bandmade still currently is at, those two bands have been in an interesting place where they've been niche enough to have that kind of appeal of, oh, this is our thing,
Mm.
combined with enough mass appeal to actually have genuine casual fans as well. So yeah, I think you're always looking, rather than who's highest on this metric, you're looking at who balances those two metrics best.
Mm. Yeah, I like I said, I found the debate really interesting, especially when you compare to other bands. And yeah, you're right. There is no right or wrong answer. It's kind of purely subjective thing. There's no measurement really. You can really measure one band to another. But I just thought it was interesting because, like, the more bands you put into the equation, the harder it kind of gets to measure them all up together because there's so many different metrics. But I quite enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie. It's nice to rack your brains and try to decipher it a little bit and like how would I put this like this and how, where would they go and why should they be higher than this other band? I don't know. I just there's something strangely fascinating. I love those little philosophical debates.
I mean, yeah, I do think it's a kind of an interesting philosophical debate. I think it's like with any philosophical debate, you do have to kind of work out what the stipulations of the debate are a little bit
Mm,
there. So I think that would be interesting to see what I think I would probably be most interested to see what everyone actually defines as popularity in the same way that the word success, what actually defines success is a little bit of a
yeah.
hard thing. That's kind of the real philosophy there, I think. Um,
Yeah, but that would be interesting. What about yourself? What have you been racking your brains about recently? How has Korea been? How's the weather been over there? Because I know it's probably boiling hot.
I mean,
I'm saying
um,
that because I'm asking for me because I'm like, how much sun cream and suntan do I need to bring?
I mean, to be honest, it has been pretty brutal here. The funny thing is that I mentioned earlier about how like the my fellow Caramel Candid supporter came over here from Japan, and
Mm,
ironically, during the few days when Caramel Candid were here, the weather here was quite rainy, and it actually became surprisingly a little bit more moderate than it had been. Still humid, but it's never as humid here as it is in Japan. And it would just basically became a little bit more moderate. So they came over like, oh, it's not too bad. And then they went back to Japan. It's like, oh, it's much hotter here. And the minute they arrived in Japan, we got like super hot days here again and went back up to like 36 degrees. I was like,
mm.
yeah, yeah. But the truth is, it's always a difficult one to measure because I know it's. I mean, I haven't stepped foot outside of Asia in 11 years now, and so I've seen how much the climate has changed in Europe. I've seen it. It's like it's mind blowing. I mean, like the idea that anyone needed air conditioning when I left back in early 2016.
Yeah.
Um, 10 and a half years. When I left, it was like the idea that anyone needed air conditioning is like, "Hey, you're not going to need that." But now it's like people are legit. Like we actually need air conditioning in this country.
Yeah. Do you know what
Um,
amazes me the most? The fact that you've been in Asia now for 11 years and you are still as white as an A4 sheet of paper. That is quite impressive.
do you know what's actually quite impressive about that is when I was in Taiwan, I
Mm,
genuinely started to tan, and it was the first time I've ever remember ever having tanned before.
yeah.
And I was wondering, is this a result of being in Taiwan, where there's like,
Mm,
constant sunshine and heat, or was this as a result of being in the back rooms for as long as I was? Well, it's
yeah.
got to be one of the two.
There you go,
You
if you wanted to
can't,
see.
you can't just that. It's like, yep, there's back rooms.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. The back rooms. We found where
Um,
you're from.
in all honesty, though, like I think the thing that's kind of like pressing on my mind the most at the moment is I feel there is this thing of I love so many bands who've been around for a while,
Yeah.
but I feel like constantly there you're always on the lookout for the next big thing, not to replace the thing you had
Mm,
before, but because of, I mean, partly that's just kind of what I love. I love finding new bands, live houses, and
yeah.
all this sort of
Same.
stuff. But I think there's that other aspect of when you're kind of looking at these artists, you're just seeing like so long as they get their feet on the ladder, you see these like beautiful journeys begin.
Yeah.
And like, so I said this with Eminem, although Eminem I think were always destined to shoot up, and obviously they've signed to Sony and everything now. But I'm so glad for them. With Caramel Candid, I feel like, that's the one I've been most walking alongside them the whole way. And I feel like they're kind of at that point now, that point you want a band to get to where really there's no need to go back now. So if you want this to be the rest of your life, you're at the point now this can be the rest of your life. Just
Mm,
you hold on to this and you keep doing it, and this can be your life now. Um, I feel Caramel Candid have hit that stride. I was talking recently, so Isagasu eyeshadow. Um, I got that really, I said it before the other week actually, but I'll say it again. I got that really beautiful message from Yukina from Ice Castle Eyeshadow,
Yeah.
like thanking me for supporting them. I don't know, she probably sent that message to a few people, I don't know. But it was like it was really lovely that she said that, and she was talking about like the analysis I did of their songs and how much she enjoyed that. But Ice Castle Eyeshadow was a group who, although I only discovered them relatively only about a year ago,
Mm.
they've really impressed me. I've really pushed them, and seeing
Yeah,
them like
nice. Yeah, I'd like to
shoot
talk
up
more
now.
about them actually. They're really good.
Honestly, one of the groups who just you know when you see a group, and because we were talking about this earlier when we talked about the whole Metalverse Dizzyverse thing,
Mm.
you know when you see a group and there's something about certain indie groups where you just go, look, whatever you, and I actually feel similarly to Caramel Candid in this degree. That and again, sorry, maybe this is just a result of working with bands and doing so much stuff for so many years with bands and indie bands. But you see some groups and you just go, what you're doing it right. You're the kind of group where it's like, you don't need a manager. Maybe you got one, great, but you don't need a manager. You just what you're doing it right. It's like this is it. This is it. This is how to do it. This is how to
Mm.
produce creativity. This is the approach to take. This is, and I see stuff like Ice Castle Eyeshadow. I'm like, yeah, yeah, that I want that to work because that should. And what makes me so happy is that in a place like Japan, it does work.
Yeah.
I mean, she goes from 2,000 to 8,000 subscribers like that. If this happened to Caramel Candid, and yeah, there's going to be social media and things involved, but it's like, yeah, you are really creative and you're getting rewarded for that creativity.
Mm.
And that to me is just, oh, I just love that so much. And that's kind of what, and yeah, we've seen groups who should have done well who've maybe not been able to in the past. Um, but and I've seen groups before who I've really loved, but I've also at the same time gone like I really love this group, but I know this is never going to be a big thing. But I
Yeah.
just love them. Um, and that's really been on my mind a lot recently because I hope that all the people who come to Japan to see like big name bands, they come here for like the bandmaids, the Babymetals. I know you've said a similar thing to me about this before. I hope that they don't forget to check out these new upcoming bands. I hope that they don't miss that opportunity because
Yeah.
that opportunity is like there's a lot out there.
Yeah. I'm not like I said, I'm looking forward to going back to Japan and just going
Yeah.
to a random live house, to a random show. Just an artist I don't know anything about, and just hoping to come away like really impressed. There's a thing like you said, there's a feeling that you know when you see a band or you react to a music video or you see something from them and you just get that, feeling and you just like, yeah, they're gonna do well.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
know, you feel it in your gut and you're just like, yeah, they're eventually at some point gonna they're just gonna be big. So
Yeah.
and it's so amazing. I felt that feeling with Eminem, with AG, with Ado as well. I remember fucking reacting to Ado
I
way,
I
way back when.
really I would love to see the statistics on how big those artists were when you started
When
following
when
them
we
because
yeah when we started going back, I think if I remember rightly, I think Eminem were like 200, 600 subscribers when
well,
you first started doing it. Yeah.
I mean, it was a bit different with Eminu because obviously
Mm.
I introduced you and a couple of people to them when
Yeah.
literally they didn't have anything. Like
Atarashii
they didn't
Gakko.
have
I
any
believe
songs and
Atarashii Gakko were around 10,000 when I started reacting to them. They were relatively niche, relatively like not cheap, but unpolished. Like it was very much just like a beginning of a project with them. And the same with Ado as well. Like Ado kind of came out and the music videos, the quality was nowhere near as good as it is now. And
Mm.
it was still really good music and a really, really good voice. Um, Surprisingly, I think Ado is the one that surprised me the most actually, because I kind of looked at that and I thought, oh, because she's only a voice with no face, I wasn't expecting her to do as well. But she was out of all three of that, she's the one that fucking ballooned, didn't she?
She
Um,
debuted I think like her I'm gonna have to check when she debuted because I did a video recently reacting to like one of her very first
mm,
appearances pre being kind of solo. But she debuted about the same time that the whole VTube thing was really taking off. And I think that
taking
kind of
off,
whole
yeah. That's probably
faceless star thing was a
mm,
big deal.
yeah, that's true. I must admit the VTuber stuff, I really like it. But I do struggle to get invested, with the exception of,
Yeah, I
like I
get
said,
that.
Ado. I do
Yeah, she
I
debuted
do
in
really
2020.
struggle to connect with like VTubers like too much, which is one of the things that hold me back. What I know is some great music sometimes, but I probably don't give it as much attention as I probably should.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because there's a lot of artists who do this sort of face this thing. I mean, obviously I'm doing a lot of Yorushka videos at the moment,
Yeah, yeah.
and they face this group. Um, Ado obviously, doesn't show a face. The VTuber thing, that's all about sort of like
Mm,
creating a new face. There's a lot of these groups, and I don't know. I full on, and was it Tuki's one of them as well? And again, I kind of really like and support that. I think that's a really cool way to be, to be an artist. I mean, personally,
yeah.
I can't deny being just 100% honest. I do prefer artists where I can see your face. I like something about the human connection.
Mm,
That's just me. And so in a way, the VTuber thing appeals a little bit more because even though they're not showing their actual face, they are still presenting a face. They're
yeah.
still saying, "Well, look, this is who
You're
you can
at their
regard me as being."
avatar, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a consistent avatar.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say though that even though I do prefer to see the person who I'm listening to, I just have immense respect for anyone who like completely puts all of their chips on their voice and rides with it.
Mm. Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's probably. I think when I start doing the VTuber thing or get suggested with it, I think back then a couple of years ago, I think that the technology hadn't quite caught up, and for me, one VTuber musical video looked identical to the next VTuber musical video,
Yeah.
and I probably think that's probably changed now over the last year or two. So it's like something I've been meaning to go back to, but in the back of my head, I've kind of already written it off a little bit because I was just like,
So talking of going back to things, sorry, total change of subject. Talking of
yeah, go
going
on.
back to things, I uncovered something recently, and this will be coming out sometime. I don't know where I'm going to post this, but I uncovered something recently that I'm going to be sharing. I found my interview from 2014 with Miyavi.
Really?
I found
From
my 2014
2014. Oh, Jesus, that
2014
is.
Miyavi interview. It
Was
was
that
a
like
really ex
12 years ago?
Yeah, it was in an expensive hotel in London. And he gave us like tickets to come see his show the next day.
Mm,
That was wild. I found those tickets. I was like, no freaking way, man. I was like, sorry, I found the recording because it had originally been lost because the magazine that we did that for, like the website magazine, it
mm,
kind of went own under like a lot of them did back then.
yeah.
And I was really annoyed because they lost all the interviews and stuff because they closed the YouTube channel and didn't save any data. But then I was going through old emails to clear space and I found like where his agent had sent me her recording of the interview because we basically everyone takes a recording, so you put all
Yeah.
the memo tapes and microphones on there, and she sent me her copy of the recording. It was still in my attachments. I was like, "Fuck yes!" and I downloaded it.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow.
I got the
That'll be a nice
entire
video,
interview.
a blast from the past.
Yeah, well, I was also speaking to the woman who I did that with, like the woman who set that up and was the actual running the cameras and everything. And hopefully, maybe we'll be able to get her onto an episode of Ears to These sometime soon as well. So a
Oh,
couple of
interesting.
cool things lined up. She's a
Yeah.
proper metalhead like you, so you two are gonna have a great time. All right, so shall we wrap this one up for today?
I think so, yeah. I mean, how long have we been yapping for? So
Two and a half hours, I think.
almost 2.5 hours.
We'll try and make it 3 hours next time. Why don't you?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, no, I think it's been pretty good. I mean, like I said, that just shows a testament of how much we can yap, considering that, like I said, I've been on the road for most of the week, so I haven't had the chance to really do much.
We
Um,
could we could be one of those podcasts that people watch when they want to go to sleep, one of those sleep health
hey,
podcasts.
hey, hey, the YouTube algorithm doesn't know that. It's still viewer retention.
Exactly, exactly. It's like, well, you're not skipping any of the adverts right now. Oh, it's two
Yeah,
o'clock in the morning,
yeah, because they're
right?
asleep. So,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So thank you everyone for tuning in. We enjoyed sharing this time with you. We're still looking to get like a couple of other people on as like maybe a regular co-host as well, because at the moment, as you can see, the last couple of years, these has only been two of us at a time. We do want to obviously make sure that we can get like a little bit of a consistent flow so we're not missing any weeks. So again, if you want to suggest any people, let us know. We're talking to a couple of people at the moment. We'll see what happens. But I'm glad to say you're still always going to see me, Neon, and Benedict. We're going to be here, just maybe in slightly weird schedule shifts and everything. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying these. But you remember, you can always give us feedback. If you want to come on here and have a chat with us on these, assuming that you're not a complete crazy person, then yes, that's welcome as well. So
I mean, could it be any crazier than us? That's the real
I just can't
question.
imagine someone just come on and they've just got like love bites tattooed across their forehead. It's like, oh, oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Like, number one fan or something. But anyway,
Yeah.
thanks guys for joining. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to this video, and remember to keep your ears to the east. Thank you, guys.